Welcome to the PP Show, where the D-Gens come to have discussions. Here at the PP Show, everyone has a voice, no matter how long you've traded in the markets. We love all opinions at the PP Show, and we hope you do too. Always remember this show is mainly comprised of opinion, speculation, and entertainment. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, you dildo enthusiasts. God bless Teddy and G-Merica. One last thing, always remember, talk is cheap. It takes money to buy whiskey.
Fellas, how the fuck you doing tonight, man? It's great to see you guys. Thank you for joining me on the PP Show, man, where we love getting together, talking about the goddamn stocks that we love, man. So it's good to see you guys tonight. Hope you guys are well, man. We have a packed show tonight, a lot of stuff to get into this evening. Wow, less than 24 hours away before we find out whether or not what's going to happen with some of these fucking options, man. Again, if you're looking at the fucking chain, man, a lot of people are placing bets, man, for tomorrow. I mean, this is absolutely insane if you ask me. Shitload of money on the hundreds and up, a shitload of money on the 20s still, and a shitload of money on the 30s, and even a shitload of money on the 50s. I mean, wow, the fucking OI is absolutely stacked tonight, man. So 24 hours to go, man. Biggest question is what's going to happen? Maybe nothing happens, right? Maybe our fucking goddamn calls get liquidated again, man. Or maybe tomorrow's the actual goddamn day that something fucking transpires again. You have to ask yourselves why DFE even chose this date to begin with, right? Very interesting thing about tomorrow is it's quad witching day. So a lot of these options you see a lot of volatility, right? Like typically on this day. So we're going to see how it fucking happens tomorrow. So with that being said, let's dive into it tonight. Again, a lot of stuff to dive into this evening. So I hope you guys are ready. Quite a bit to get into. So let's get in the legality. We'll start the show. We won't waste any more time here tonight. We'll jump straight into it tonight, fellas. So keep in mind, man, I am not a financial expert, nor am I a financial advisor. So please seek the avenues to do so. You're not going to find it here. A lot of this is opinion. A lot of this is speculation. A whole bunch of, man, is entertainment if you haven't guessed it already. We like getting together. We like talking about the stock, and that's really all there is to it, man. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind, any guests who come on the show, man, nobody here is a professional. So if you hear any opinions, speculation, TA, things like that, keep in mind, man, nobody here is a professional. We like getting together. We like talking about the stock, and that's really all there is to it, man. So let's jump the fuck into it, man. I know you guys probably have a lot of questions how this is going to kind of play out tomorrow, things like that. So let's go ahead and start the show. Let's give a warm welcome to none other than Michael. All right, Michael, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing great. Just hanging out with the homies here, doing the Bear Trap documentary.
Right on, man. Cool. When you getting back to the gym, Michael?
Tomorrow.
Okay. Right. Cool. Yeah. Sounds good, man. Well, I hope the trip has been fun with some of that stuff. There is a lot of stuff to dive into tonight. I got to ask you before we pull in, and also I don't know where ABC is tonight. I don't know if ABC's taking the night off. Maybe we may or may not see him tonight. But before we bring in Travis in here, are you playing tomorrow's options or what, man?
Yeah, so I had a lot of 20s and a lot of 30s and a few 25s, but the most of them were 20s or 30s. So I rolled my 20s because they still had some, some value to them, and for some next week, like 25s. So it actually ended up working out kind of good because I got more calls than I had. But I do have a lot of 30s that I paid quite a bit for, so that's going to be interesting. I do think I am actually very optimistic for a lot of reasons. I mean, one, we've built a pretty solid floor.
Yes.
So you need a floor to bounce off of, and we have it. So, I mean, I think that's good. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, and also Pratkin, one thing I was going to pull up later into the show is Pratkin actually just pulled it up now. Someone STO'd a fuck ton of 125 puts for tomorrow. Who the fuck would do that? I think it was $2 million. Wow. I mean, what a fucking bet, man. Like, again, I think that Bears and also Bulls are kind of playing tomorrow heavily. I mean, what's going to transpire is anyone's guess, right? But, if you're going for any kind of like, a kill shot or something like that, I would assume that you would do it on the day of quad witching. And again, the biggest question out there is why initially Roaring Kitty, DFE, essentially chose that day. Could have been any day through the fucking week, but he chooses quad witching day. I don't know. I personally, I think maybe we could see something tomorrow. It depends on pre-market things like that, but when we take a look at the option chain, I mean, it's looking stupid, man, tomorrow. I mean, so many fucking bets. Not only, again, it's on both the bear and also the bull side. So, but excellent. Let's go ahead and jump into it. It's good to see you tonight, Michael. Let's go ahead and bring in the rest of the fellas in here. We do have a lot of people backstage here. Anasthera, we have Sloppy, we have Travis the stripper with us backstage there. We got Wu Pang and also You Copy, and it looks like Biggy is back there too. So very big lineup tonight, fellas. Wow. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and bring on the rest of these fellas here. So Chad, welcome these fine gentlemen. All right, what's going on, fellas? We got everybody with us. Biggy, Travis, You Copy, Pang, and also Anasthera. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing well.
Good to see you, man. Yeah, we haven't seen Travis in a while. Good to see you, Travis.
Life has just been busy. It slows down after Monday. I'll be back to my regularly scheduled timings. It's just been, life is crazy. That's all.
Oh, I get it, man. Yeah, totally. And Biggy, can we get a mic test real quick?
Can you hear me?
All right, perfect. All right, excellent. Perfect. I can hear all you guys. All right, so it's good to see you guys tonight. There is a lot of stuff to get into. I believe Biggy had something he wanted to showcase tonight. You Copy also wanted to showcase something as well. A lot of stuff on the menu this evening. So why don't we go ahead and take it over to You Copy first. You Copy has a presentation made for us. I don't know what are we expecting to get into with this presentation that you've prepped for us. You Copy, please inform us.
Yeah. Okay. So of course, like just add a disclaimer. None of what I say is gonna be this is like just entertainment. I just figured out that okay, so based on Algo is gonna do Algo, but based on all the things I see from GameStops and how they create an algorithm. So just based on that, this is just my speculation. So I'll be sharing my speculation when the BBY show comes out.
All right, sounds good. Let's see what you have for us tonight. You Copy?
Yeah. I'm gonna share my screen. So nothing I'll say is gonna be it's not gonna be like perfectly like, oh, this is gonna happen right on this day. So if nothing happens, nothing happens. So no blame on me. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hold you accountable for my $30 calls. You Copy if they don't hit tomorrow. It's all your fault. No, my GME $30 calls.
Oh yeah, I can talk about that a little bit too. So you guys see my screen here?
Yeah, if my 128 doesn't hit, I'm coming over.
Yeah, Pang sweating on those 128s. I'm riding 30s. Fucking, I don't know how the fuck Pang feels tomorrow.
If my completely
maybe we're all fucked, man. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Anna Sarah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if my completely unreasonable YOLO 125 call doesn't pay, I'm coming after You Copy for no reason. For no reason.
So don't blame on me, guys. If nothing happens on this month, I'm gonna tell you guys.
This month?
No, not this month. Sorry, the months that I'm gonna say.
Sure.
It's gonna be like the month I'm seeing that BBY will come out. So
all right, fair enough.
If nothing happens. No blame on me, right?
Okay, so I'll let you go. You Copy real quick. I'm just gonna catch up on these tips, and then you go ahead. You Copy. Why so serious with the 5? Shout out to Ken Griffin's ex-wife. Why so serious calls dibs to give her the mayo after Moas. We also got Crayon Green out there with the 5 PP Show gifted memberships. Appreciate your support. Again, if you got a membership out there, fellas, be sure to give thanks in the chat. It's the least you can do. Emotional damage with the 2. Paying clean that jizz off your webcam, bro. All right, let's go ahead and take it over to You Copy. You Copy, what are we looking at here tonight?
Yeah. Okay, so so I made a timeline. So while I was doing my live streaming, I still do my live streaming, and then I was recently talked to some of the TA guy as well, and then I started to add a timeline. So I just want to start with this one just to make sure that you guys all follow, and if I made a mistake, please correct me wrong, right? So this is a right now current chart. And then I showed you last time, we are in a bull market, right? Bull cycle. And then I want to talk a little bit about what happened, this and that, and then I do think that the longs are creating this algorithm, and this algorithm is exactly same looking what happened to 2020 2020 the bull cycle in September, and then yeah, I'll just show you. So this volume, I think, this is all my speculation, so this is like nothing here is perfect. So I think this volume kicks in, also Roaring Kitty enters, but also this volume happens right after, a day after cat system, I think May something, right? May, was it like April 20 something 9 or May 1st or something like that. Anyway, so this happened, this volume kicks in a day after that, the cat system implements, and then Roaring Kitty probably buy some buy-in and so whatever. And then this whole thing happened. This is a squeeze, and then why I call squeeze, and I also look at what happened to FTD covering. So what's his name, Richard, yeah, that guy, he talks about a lot of FTDs, and then it does match with the timeline. So this volume was a short covering from XRT ETF FTD, and after that we had a 45 million ATM offering, right? So there was a it come back down, right? And then after that we saw Roaring Kitty enter $20 call, so he rebuilt his like positions, all that. And then I'm gonna show you why we are actually here. So right now they create the same algorithm. It's like people who might say like, oh, this is all bullshit, but like just take a look at it, okay? So
no, I believe you that they're creating these ripples. I'm fully convinced that 100% this is what's happening.
Okay, yeah, but like but like there are some people like, oh, this bullshit, but like just take a look at it. And after that, so they did offering, come back down, and then Roaring Kitty enters $20 call, reveal his positions, and there was about a rally for a short rally for 2 weeks, right? And then I do expect another short rally for about 2 weeks until early July, July 2nd or 3rd. And then we saw this 2 weeks rally, and we saw another 75 ATM offering through Ocean M&A. As you guys know, it's a top M&A shareholder activism firm. And then we come back down. And then we came to what's interesting is when you see this algorithm here, this looks exactly same, like just go up, and then come like, okay, sorry, go up, down, go up, down, go up, down, like, so they create a very similar algorithm somehow. And then we had a shareholder meeting after that, and it was like a little disappointing, all that shit, like nothing happened. So people like, oh, I saw Rose was like, oh, kind of disappointed, and I do see like some comments that are disappointed. But I do believe that they did it on purpose to create this same algorithm, this blue box. We are like here, so I'm gonna show you why. So so tomorrow I know you guys mentioned like, oh, it's FTD from Roaring Kitty or something, like there's some emoji, whatever, I don't know. But whatever happens to me and to what I discussed with some of the TA guy who are very experienced, we have to see $30. We have to see $30 tomorrow. So that's something I can tell you. And then yeah, I'll briefly talk about that after that. But we're gonna see $30, maybe pull back a little bit because there's a lot of calls into $30. So maybe before the end of the tomorrow Friday, I think they might crash it to $27. And then after that, we're gonna see another upside. So we're gonna have a short rally for the next 2 weeks like this. And then I'm gonna tell you after that. And then I do see that there's a Roaring Kitty after this is coming in July 14 or something like that, or mid-July. And then you have to add another T+5, and then I do believe that that's end of July. So basically, like, they're creating this whole ripples, like you said, PP, on a purpose where like they can. Okay, let's say after XRT ETF FTD, if they just let it happen, people just jump in and then buy calls, and this shit like ripple and like crazy, right? So. But people be like, oh, why do they, ATM offering? They want to create this ripple because they want to create a bigger squeeze.
Okay. All right. I like where this is going, but how many times do you think that they're going to replicate this before we actually see the mega squeeze actually occur? Do you think that the company will in fact do more dilute? So let's say like this theory is true. The company, let's say we get another run, stock goes up, company's going to dilute again, another ATM, it's going to come down. Or like, explain that a little bit more.
Yes. So after 2 weeks, let's say we have the same, let's say we did rally for next 2 weeks. Something they, I don't know, like they might do something to just crash back down a little bit. I don't know. Like I have no connection to Ryan Quinn or Warren Kitty.
No, I believe it. I mean, an ATM would cause it to come back down, though.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking too.
Okay.
PPP. So, but I just don't wanna, throw a something that disappoint people, or I'm not an insider, so I have no idea, right? They're gonna do something to smash down a little bit too. But I do think that there might be a ATM offering that they did last time. They might use parts of it or something. I don't know. But they're gonna do that, in my opinion, and then we're gonna have another T+35 and plus the 5-day settlements from Roaring Key. That's gonna happen end of July. So we're gonna have this multiple times like this. So one here, one in July, end of July to or August, maybe mid-August, and we're gonna have something like Ripple. So now I want to tell you this one. They're gonna smash down again. Maybe this time it will be because of the earning, because normally before earning they crash down, right? So maybe this is gonna be shorting, right? And then personally, I mean, I don't know, like I'm not like, I'm not genius or anything, but personally around this time they're gonna short their own stock. Maybe, like, I don't know, maybe there's some guy who's along on this, working on this algo. They can use a short, doing like shorting, like a program, like they just run that thing short a little bit, and then we're gonna enter GameStop earning by September 4th. And I do think that around this time, September, is when BBY shares come out, and then they're gonna run like this, I don't know. That's just my, how I came up with. I just want to show this one as a second example. So when you look at this one, on the right side, this is what happened to 2020 September through January 2021. As you guys know, Ryan Quinn enters his positions and end of August, actually. So it was August 31st. And then we saw news on early September. And that's what created a rally here. And you see there's a long signal here. And what created a rally? It might be Roaring Kitty, but it's also the cat system kicks in. So all the timing was just perfect. There was a XRT ETF short covering. So I wasn't here by the time, but they create some sort of like effects here, like ripple effects. And maybe at the time, I don't know, they did a dilution here. I don't know if you guys anybody knows what happened when they smashed down here. But there must be something. Maybe they're shorting, or maybe they did offering, but I haven't really heard they did an offering around this time. But yeah, I think right now it's making a bigger ripples, and they're mimicking like this. So and then it takes about 5 months from September. So September, October, November, December, January. Then when we see a squeeze. Right now it starts from May. So May, June, July, and then August, September. That's 5 months. So September is gonna be the month, in my opinion, if we mimic what GameStop bull cycle like that. On the right side, September, I think, is the month that BBY will come out, and there's gonna just like fucking wiped out, like fucking short like crazy.
So you think they're gonna? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, yeah. So in my opinion, like I'm not genius or anything. Like, based on what I saw, the patterns and algo, and I talked to the other TA people who are really smart, and this is what I came up with, all the events and timeline. And then to create that that huge squeeze, not only just GameStop need I mean, GameStop already has a lot of short interest possibly, and there's like swaps and all that stuff, but to squeeze that, they should be a catalyst. I mean, and that catalyst, I think it's BBBY, because as you know, BBBY already reduced down their debt from $5 billion last year. when they first entered Chapter 11, and now they only have 500 million. They just reduced down like 10 times. It's fucking crazy. And then shorts wants to from 2014, like there was like a whole fucking like JP Morgan was doing like share buyback 10 billion. So it's all okay. So like people think that this is like conspiracy theory, but I think it might be true. It's because the patterns and the fucking like it just all lines up perfectly. GameStop shorting happened from 2014 by Melbourne Capital, right? And then the blast swap was created in 2014 based on the data from the rechart, right? So everything happened 2014, and if this is right, so I think their plan was to bankrupt these retail stock companies from 2014 to 2020, and I think COVID was event. Right.
So I'll say this. I agree with a lot of the stuff in terms of, maybe like they are creating like these ripples. I think we will see a lot more spikes before we get to the final squeeze, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near September. I think that's a little too far off the mark, if you ask me. Yeah. And again, that's just my own opinion. If you think it's September, that's fantastic. I don't know. With everything kind of moving so quickly, with kind of a lot of these moving pieces, I feel like it's a lot sooner rather than later, right? The fact that we have like a lot of this stuff that we're looking back to in terms of some of these memes created by DFE, things like that. Some of these dates, quad witching day is obviously tomorrow. I don't know. I can agree that we may see more kind of ATMs if we do see these spikes, but I don't know. Biggie, why don't you jump in? What do you think about it?
Do you want me to hop into what I was gonna say, or just talk on this specific topic right now?
Well, I mean, I'm just curious, like your thoughts of like a September date. I mean, do you think that it's going to be farther, or do you think that it's rather going to be closer, sooner rather than later?
I think there's going to be some repetitive cycles that actually had started back in April up until now. And I think there will be a floor that continues to go higher and higher with continued as well. But that will defy logic, because you would think more ATMs, lower price, more dilution. But I am extremely confident of what I will share later about how they're going to be able to pull this off.
Okay, sounds good.
No, not later. Keep going. I'm almost there.
Go ahead. You copy.
Yeah. No. So yeah.
So
go ahead, Michael.
Remember back a while back when OKBet, we were talking about like when blockchain, right? That if we want the real squeeze, it's got to be on blockchain. And we were kind of postulating who is involved, whether it's T0 or Loopring. And he's like, oh, well, Loopring is missing this, T0 is missing that. I mean, this was like a year plus ago, right? And then I was like, well, what about Tyco? And so he's like, well, that would fill in all the gaps, but he's like, they're nowhere near close. And this was like a year ago, and he's like, they're not going to be there till first or second quarter, right? And now we just got the airdrops for Tyco, and so it's like, I think that's kind of one reason why we're in KDB back, is because the whole blockchain exchange thesis now is like, seems like right there. I mean, you can literally get airdrop Tyco coins right now, and those are, I think that was like a friend of Ryan Cohen, like actually made those, or someone that worked at GameStop. I don't remember the exact background, but I think that might be
Matt Feinstein.
Yeah, there we go. So I think it could be sooner than later, because I think the only other thing is that we're waiting for is possibly government approval. So I've been following T0's Twitter, and it's kind of unclear. One thing kind of suggested like they have a route possibly to do things. They also, it's not as much guidance as they would like. So I don't know if that stalls it or not. But I think I imagine we're ready to go sooner than later.
Yeah. Well said. Go ahead, you copy. Go ahead and wrap it up for us.
I mean, if it comes out like I thought about that, guys, too. I mean, like I'm not expert, so this could be like completely wrong. Like I said, like November thesis was completely was thrown away. But so I might be wrong. But what I'm saying is, September, October is always the months that the fiscal year of the Fed is renewed, right? It's like, and
Okay.
also a lot of market crash and market correction actually happen on this time, right? So and then this chart perfectly line up, and then if we mimic this thing, it perfectly ends on the September. So that's just my thesis. If it comes out early, I mean, I don't know, like fucking BBY is a you know, it's gonna be a massive nuclear. You know, it's like it could melt down a lot of. I mean, you guys can imagine that, because I can imagine, like, if this comes out and they just wipe out the debt, they comes out, the new shares comes out, and then they're gonna expose the fraud.
Mhm.
People be like, why the fuck BBY, you know, squeeze like crazy? There's like 300 or over 400 millions of the shares are all like synthetics, and the GameStop went up this $500 from $5, only just 50 million shares existed, and you know, and there was about maybe what 200% shorts at the time. Only 50 million,
160%.
over only for 50 millions were shorted, right? And then this stock ran up fucking like $500, and then and then they actually has to you know remove the buy button, right? It could actually gone much further, right? And imagine if BBY comes out with 300 or 400 fucking, like, you know, shares are all synthetics and they have to cover, and their financials are great, you know, they wipe out all their debt. I mean, this is nuclear, man. And if this comes out, imagine, guys, this will melt down the market. And are they gonna melt down the market right now? I don't think so. I'm not sure. I think it might be the month that possibly around September, because that's when the whole shit happens. But if this comes out earlier, I mean, of course, I don't know, but
Right on.
that's just how I come up with, right?
All right. Cool.
I
Go
just wanna-
ahead, Travis.
I just want to clarify real quick on the short interest. So the short interest that was reported was 140%. That is the highest amount that can be actually reported by FINRA.
Right.
It's not necessarily what the true short interest was. Now, the SEC report came out and said it was 226% short interest. So there are some discrepancies, and the reason for those discrepancies is FINRA's maximum reportable value is 140%, and SEC is probably most accurate with 226% short interest. Now, how did they get that from 226% down to 25% without closing their shorts? Because the SEC report showed that they never really closed their shorts. They entered into derivatives, which are a dark market. We know that, they know that, we know that they know, and you know, all we have to do is buy and hold.
Yeah, and there was 2 ATMs and they still didn't close their fucking position. So
No.
go ahead, Pang, and then we're going to take it over to Biggie. Excellent presentation, you copy. Again, I think that you copy's onto something. You know, I don't agree with the date in terms of the September stuff, but there very well could be something in terms of the algos being kind of like created here, right? I mean, we've already seen essentially like these 2 spikes. Some people claim that this was tested out back in May when we ran from $10 to 17 initially before DFE even came back. Some people were speculating that maybe he was testing this out. It could be a very real possibility here that they're essentially creating these waves and we could see more spikes, right? Biggest question is whether or not the company itself is going to keep introducing more ATMs, right? How much cash does the actual company need? I mean, that should be the biggest question out there, because if you figure out how much cash the actual company needs, then you can gauge, you know, potentially, you know, if whether or not they're going to do another ATM here. I mean, if you ask me, I think they're going for more money. I mean, I think it's very clear here. We've studied the Bed Bath play for so long that we know that this company is essentially going through some form of an acquisition, some form of a merger. Requires a lot of money. And if we're speculating it to be GameStop, this could be a very real scenario. The biggest question is if they time these ATMs and essentially, you know, you call them dilution, whatever you want to call it. If they time these ATMs and the company has more cash on hand and they're finding these new floors, the stock theoretically could still climb here. So, you know, I sometimes see from time to time people, you know, worried about the dilution, things like that. And go back to what Larry Chang says. If the ATMs and the dilution are done properly, right, with the vision for the company and to utilize those funds for acquisitions, which it states in the ATMs, then they will be beneficial to the company. That's the biggest question right now, is whether or not they need more cash than $4 billion of what's on hand. Let's go ahead and take it over to Pang and then Biggie. And again, excellent excellent presentation you copied tonight.
Thanks,
go ahead,
man.
Pang.
So for you copy, I think there's two things. Well, one of the things is that November elections, and then the second one is I don't know if we should be so sure about the T35 like the settlement, because what Richard I'm still asking them this question. I haven't gotten a reply yet, but what Richard's doing, he's looking at XRT specifically, which makes me wonder, because if you go on Fintel like .io and you look at all the top ETFs that own GME like in their ETFs, that's how they're doing it, right? A lot of them,
Right.
they pull out the GME shares and then out of the basket, and then they short it through a certain way. It's called operational shorting. I spent like half a day studying it. But anyways, point being that XRT only has like 400,000 GME shares to be shorted, right? Which makes me wonder, holy shit, it's kind of crazy how I think it's only probably the like retail or someone smaller guys who are shorting it. That's why Travis can see the 180 or 140% short interest reported by FINRA, or the 225 by
226 SEC.
sorry, 226 by the SEC. But with them able to create these synthetic shorts, because instead of shorts, they do FTDs, right? Which if you delay it, you essentially have a short position. So these guys, for example, the IJH, so basically the S&P mid cap, they have 8 million shares of GME. IJJ has 1.5 mil. Like there's like 80 ETFs holding like millions of GME shares, which in ways that what they do is they break it out of the basket, short it, and then put it back, but they don't put it back by using FTDs.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because also, like, you know, if you look at that emoji list too, which I'm going to pull up later in the show, like you can see that there's exactly 35, and some people claim that there is in fact something that's actually happening and transpiring behind those emojis. I mean, I don't know, you know, I think it goes back to like that fucking goddamn clock. Like, I don't think any of us really truly figured out what the fuck it meant. I think some people speculated that maybe was like correlated to Ryan Cohen. So there's one where Ryan Cohen's leaning back. There's one where Ryan Cohen's leaning forward. And then there's also obviously the DFE like back in his chair and leaning forward. So some people were comparing it to that on the clock. I don't know. You know, I don't think we've truly ever figured out what the fuck the clock meant, even if it fucking meant anything. But yeah, go ahead. Do you copy?
Oh, so in terms of the U.S. election and all that, I know, like, you know, historically, in the U.S. election year, it's always like there's a bull, you know, like the market go up and all that stuff. But there's 2 times I heard that there was a market crash. That was 2008, I think, and then it was way before. So, and then right now, market seems like, you know, the French, even in France, like they own like they borrow a lot of money from U.S., Japan, UK. It's like over 900 billion. And I mean, I saw news there, you know, they might also face, you know, financial crisis. Japan as well, you know, there's a lot of shit like that. I also saw there's a video about swap. You guys saw there's a Credit Suisse, and then Bill Huang, he used a swap, and then he basically went down the road, right? Like he got margin call Viacom and other stock. But the interesting thing is, you know, you don't have to own the shares, right? So basically, in the filing, it says you don't have to own the shares, and that you can use a synthetic and leverage exposure, right? And imagine this, that maybe there's a small hedge fund like him, or small family, you know, hedge fund firm like him, or even bigger hedge fund, that they use this huge swap, and they don't have to own the GameStop stocks, and they can still short the, you know, stock with a huge high leverage exposure. And if BBY comes out, I don't know when, but I do think it's maybe somewhere, maybe September. But if let's say if BBY comes out, it's gonna fucking destroy the whole thing, right? And I don't know,
Yeah,
like
nobody will see it coming.
yeah, so let's see coming. Like I'm not saying like my prediction is gonna be right or wrong, right? Like when people talk shit about my predictions and all shit like that, of course, this is like what I'm saying is like just my, you know, prediction, you know. So don't like fucking bash on me, but that's just how I come up with. And then I think BBY is gonna be very, very explosive. And then yeah, you know, and Donald Trump, when you look at him, like he's bashing short seller, you know, because of the DJTs getting heavily shorted, all that stuff. And he mentioned like in the letter, 60 or over 60% are the volumes are created by Citadel, Virtual, all that stuff, right? The market makers, there's many market makers are creating those things. And then he complained about it, and then he said there might be a RICO act, right? He might hire a RICO act and maybe fight against it. So I think there's whole situation where he want to solve this problem, this whole financial problem that has been rooted for a long time, this whole Wall Street corruptions, and I think that's what we're at. Ryan Cohen is gonna do his thing, right? He's gonna just focus on his work. We're gonna keep looking for support this company and all that stuff. But yeah, I think even though this is the year of the U.S. elections, I do think that there's a possible that we could see a market crash we're gonna start to see a market crash in September, and then early next year, possibly around March, I think we're gonna see a fucking like a crazy market crash. So
I agree.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, go ahead, Travis.
I didn't mean to jump in. I didn't know you wanted to go somewhere else. But real quick, I for what Peng was saying, as far as I believe his name's Richard, right? Is that
Richard Newton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to poke holes in his theory in that if you look at the FTDs, FTDs increase the next 2 days, but then they clear them the next day or two. And if that's happening, there is no T+35. These have been cleared already. And so I want to kind of poke holes in this theory, but I also want more time on it before I jump in and really state my case and my theory and how I believe that he could be incorrect. But
do you mind if I hop in real quick, Travis?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So take it away for us, Biggie. Peng, just sit tight. Biggie's up.
We can hop back in after Peng, but it's C+35. It's not T+35. It's calendar days for the FTDs, and they can actually internalize the FTDs so they don't pop up continuously and basically cycle through them. So you would still see the ramifications of a 35-day cycle in the 35th day without seeing FTDs pop up every single day consecutively.
Interesting.
But go ahead, Peng. I know you wanted to. I can hop in right after.
Well, I was gonna finish real quick, Peng, and then what you copy was
Travis, Peng, then Biggie.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to finish my thought because I'm ADHD and I'll forget.
Trust me, we know.
Me too, man. We're all ADHD.
All right, real quick.
Trust me, all of us know that.
With the election year, I agree. It's not uncommon to see a crash around September of an election year, so somebody has somebody else to blame, whether it's one party or the other. I don't want to play politics. I try not to play politics, but it's not uncommon to see turmoil in the markets starting in September of an election year. That's it.
Got it. All right, Peng, and then we're going to let Biggie go. Biggie has some potentially some large stuff to share tonight.
Okay, I'm going to
go ahead,
back to Biggie here. So when you're saying that they can possibly be hiding the FTDs, what I was thinking, them using like one ETF to do the FTD, and then they're like, oh, okay, you got some FTDs going on, and then they open up in another one. They close one and then open another one. These algorithms, they do it like it's not like they do an FTD and then it's taking years. These are done in milliseconds, like where the algos go through. So for example, IJH has 8 million GME shares, so that they'll have like a certain amount of like, let's say like 1 million FTDs, and then whoever's borrowing it from that basket closes that immediately, and then the next day or T+3 go to IJJ, which is another S&P mid-cap 400 value ETF, and then take the 1 mil from there, and it's like a fucking shuffle. They just shuffle through the ETFs to say it's like a Kansas City shuffle, except with ETFs and GME shares.
It's more like juggling. It's like
juggling. Yeah, sorry, juggling.
All right. Well said, Peng. Take it away for us, Biggie. What would you have to add on to either that or what you potentially wanted to share with us tonight? We're all ears tonight. Let's hear it.
Yeah, just to add on to that. So what you're saying, Peng, is definitely a possibility, because if you think about what an FTD is, it's like all they're trying to do is locate the shares. They don't technically need the shares to close a position or make an obligation whole. As long as they can prove that they, in quotes, have the shares, an FTD wouldn't occur. Now, if they're cycling those shares through ETFs or another counterparty back and forth to continue to show that they, in quotes, have that locate, you won't see an FTD. But in the background, you know that they're shuffling shares and have not made that obligation whole. So that's kind of what, in my opinion, leads to these weird, crazy amount of volumes that seem to be massive anomalies, is you see shuffling of shares to make whole obligations without creating FTDs, which is why I think I talked about this last week, that Reg Show is used tactically, as they will FTD when they want to, tactically, for their own purposes. But that's all I had on that. I don't know, PP, if you or Peng wanted to add anything before I hop in.
Go ahead, Peng, if you do. If not, take it away first. All right, take it away first, Biggy. Let's hear it tonight.
Alrighty, so what I'm going to share tonight, not financial advice. I don't want to give dates on anything. I'll be honest, this is probably the last time I'm going to be on here, and I'm a little bit scared to share what I'm going to show you. And I only want to show you 20% of what I know is happening here, and I'll let you make the rest of the inference on what's happening. Okay.
Are you going to share your screen?
I will share before I share anything. Is it okay if I use Unusual Whales option live feed?
Oh,
Am I
yeah.
allowed to share that? Okay, because I did pay for it. I just don't want to promote it or anything.
No, go ahead, man. Yeah, that's
okay.
no problem.
I will be showing that at some point. But to lay the groundwork here, I think the 35-day cycles are a thing, and I think when they happen, if they stack on each other, you can get into this repetitive cycle that you see similar to January 2021. And I think someone on Reddit or Superstonk kind of was close on this, but they pointed out when Ryan Cohen purchased in December of 2020 or 2020, right before January 2021, that when he purchased his large position, the stock went down for 3 days in the whole 3 days that he was purchasing, which is super fucking weird when you see someone buy 5+% of a publicly traded company, right? In my opinion, that is a clear signal that that trade was internalized by a market maker with the plans over the next 35 days to potentially release it gradually without causing impact to the market. So high level, I think that is what happened there. So let's say they do let it go in the next 10, 15, 20 days, right? They don't have to wait 35 days. They're looking for volume in the market to be able to release it, to hopefully not have parabolic move that would impact the option chain, right? Well, what happens when you have a bunch of retards out there that are buying a ton of calls at the same time, and you finally release that volume? And, you know, if it was trading at $10 and you think it's going to go to $12, but that puts a bunch of calls in the money, now you've got a gamma ramp. And that FTD thing has just lit a fuse of the option chain, which is now stacked uncontrollably. Okay. I just want to lay that groundwork as a preface for like what I think happened in 2020, but it wasn't coordinated. It just happened to be this perfect timed thing, right? Where you have one guy who hops in and buys shares, and the market starts stacking options on top of it by retail traders. Okay. So I'm going to focus only on DFE. I don't want to opine on what GameStop did with the ATMs. I think more ATMs are to come, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think what we're seeing is what I would call controlled MOAS, which is basically an infinite money printer for retail and an infinite money printer for GameStop without killing the entire market in the process, which I think, you know, I've always think MOAS is an awesome thing and I hope it happens, but I think it's something that actually could be catastrophic for the markets, that almost might be something that we can't go back on. Even if GameStop holders are the winners or BBBY holders are the winners, I think it's something that like could be too catastrophic for the capital markets.
So, okay, and I don't want to cut you off, but I want you to continue. But so then does your thesis kind of line up with what you copy is saying? Maybe not the dates, but perhaps that if there are going to be more ATMs or there are going to be more spikes, that this is being something that's like almost like being created here via these like, you know, FTDs and T35 and all of this stuff, or what?
Yes, I think. Okay, so I don't know how to like tiptoe around this, but I think Roaring Kitty has set this in motion, and it's the motion's not going to stop. So, and I can, again, I'm not going to go into what GameStop is doing, but I can actually prove it to you here that Roaring Kitty started this. So,
wow.
So my opinion is Roaring Kitty has waited 3 years for the perfect time, and I'm sure he has tested this multiple times over the last 3 years of finding a time where IV is low, liquidity is dry in the stock, and when he purchases, let's just say, you know, he had $3 million on his last post back in April of 2021. So let's just say he's working with $3 million, right?
Okay.
If he buys, let's just say, you know, a few 100,000 or a million shares or whatever, somewhere around there, maybe even like a few 100,000, if the stock goes down when he makes that block purchase, I think that's his indicator that they internalized his trade. And I think that is his green light to then potentially hop in and set this cycle in motion. So I want to lay that groundwork right there of what could kick off a 35-day cycle, with the idea that the market maker over the next 35 days will then release his position, which might cause the stock to go up, you know, 20, 40%, which if the option market is timed right, could be catastrophic for that market maker, then releasing that and then having to make the obligations in the option chain whole as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So keep these numbers in mind in a 35-day cycle: the 13th day, the 22nd day, and the 35th day. Okay.
13th, 22nd, and what was the last one?
The 35th, the very end of the
35th.
FTD obligation.
Got it. Why
Okay?
is that?
I will explain here in a bit, and I'm going to just show you what my logic was on how I kind of reverse engineered this. So let's just assume the two peaks that we saw were two separate 35-day cycles, and both of them were at the peak of the 35th day. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you go backwards, interestingly enough, and assume that the first or the second peak was 35 days, if you go back, the 13th day of that 35th day happens to, or that 35-day cycle happens to line up perfectly one day before the peak of the first cycle at 35 days. Okay. And on that day, the first peak, we see an unusual option activity event occur. And then after the drop, you see the ATM announced the next day. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that interesting. Just assuming going backwards here on the second peak, 35-day going back on the 13th day, it lines up perfectly with that potential first peak being a 35-day cycle. If you go back 35 now let's assume that first peak is the 35th day of a 35-day cycle, and you go 13 days into that 35-day cycle, you see something very, very interesting in the option market. And now we're going back all the way to like purchasing a chunk of shares could potentially start one of these if a market maker internalizes it, right?
Some people are asking, do you have visuals? Do you have anything that you can visually show, or no, are we not there yet?
I have an Excel sheet, but I don't want to share it because it has a bunch of other stuff that I don't feel comfortable sharing.
Okay, fair.
But I can kind of walk through maybe on, let me just pull it up on like Weeble or something and show you what I'm seeing. Sorry.
People are retarded here, man.
Careful here.
No, of course.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours backstage.
Hey.
All right, here we go.
All
For our visual learners out there, here we go.
So we're looking at GameStop here, right? So you see this is the first peak of a 35-day cycle, second peak of a 35-day cycle. So we're going to look at these two separately. Again, these are calendar day cycles, okay? So if we go back 35 days, you have May 5th being the start of a cycle. Oddly coincidental, we see a spike there. And then the second cycle being here, we go 35 days back.
What day was 35 days back from that large candle?
From the second one, it would be May 3rd. And then from the other one, it would be April 9th. Okay.
Okay.
So if we look 13, and again, this is 13 days into the calendar trading day. So we're looking at this window right here of this first cycle. So I'm just going to show you, it's like roughly right around here, I think. You see something really interesting happen around this point in time right here. Sorry, this is annoying to show, but you see something really interesting happen in the option market around here. So hold this thought. We know that when DFV bought his calls, the $120,000 $20 strikes. It was very obvious in the options market. He was buying in literally 5,000 block increments, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Everyone was like, what the fuck are these? And then obviously he shows his YOLO post after he purchases of them, and it was him, right?
Mhm.
Well, I am quite confident that he purchased all the calls here and turned about $2 million into close to 200 million.
You're
And
talking like early May, right?
so this would be April 24th through April 26th is when I think he purchased all of his calls.
Wow.
Do you want to see some crazy shit?
Let's see it.
Hang on, Peng. Hang on.
Hold on, Peng. The man's cooking.
All right. Technologically illiterate.
Now you're good.
Sure, dear. All right. I'm going to show you. Hopefully, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, you want me to? Well, it's back. Just remember, everything you share is backstage first, so you won't make a fuck
Okay.
up or anything. So if you're good for me to share that, I will.
Are you able to see? I don't think there's any personal information here. You just see an option chain.
Yeah, I just pulled it up.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. So this is today's option activity, and I'm sorting it by 500 plus contracts traded in a block. So you won't see anything under here. You see, this is like a normal option day for GameStop. So let's go back to April. Let's do the first full week of April, right? You see, like, this is like the normal weekly option activity for 500 plus contracts, right? You go to here. This is very normal. And then so the next week, you see this. And are you ready for this? I'm going to actually just show, because this is the 13th day of this cycle.
Holy shit, man.
Whoa.
How many contracts were purchased?
Look at that. Yeah.
Close to 120,000.
No way. As early as April. Do you know when they were? So
look at these expirations.
Oh, they're all for the 17th.
He bought them 3 weeks to 4 weeks out. He bought all of these. So this is the craziest thing. Look at some of these calls. He's spending 17 to 19 cents on contracts, and he's buying like the whole fucking chain. Like, look at these.
Holy shit, man.
So, like, in my opinion, what happened was he knew that they internalized his trade, and he saw over the next few days and waited to see if they released it, and they didn't. So he knew time was ticking, and what he did was he started buying as many fucking calls as he could. And sure as shit, right on the peak of that first run, so this is May 13th and May 14th. What do you see? He fucking dumps them all. That's why we dropped. He owned the fucking option chain and had him by the balls. And he literally was buying. Look at what he's selling these for. $20. He bought these for 12 cents.
Yeah.
And dumped like $3 million, $2 million into this shit.
So you think this is how he essentially got to a position of nearly 200 million before even
100%. Look, these are all 1,000 block increments. Like, this is him, man. I think he's intentionally obvious with his contract purchases. I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know why he didn't show this before, but I think it's easy enough to go back and kind of infer what he did. But I want to show you something also very interesting. If we go to the second big peak, right? And assuming that is a 35-day cycle, 13 days in, he's selling all these contracts. But then you go, well, what kicked off this 35-day cycle for the second peak? If you look at May fucking 3rd, man, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to show May 1st to May 3rd. So you see some of these like 900 calls. I think sorry, it might be a few days back. Let me check my sheet here. So May 2nd in particular. Maybe it was May 3rd. It's one of these days here. So End of April here. I think he actually sells some of his calls that he purchased because he purchased a bunch of the 10 and 11 and $25 calls. I think he sells some of them and buys shares specifically on the 3rd of May, which then kicked off the next cycle on top of a cycle that he had already created. So he knew when he sold his position at the top, another cycle was basically already in the works. So they're like compounding here.
So he's basically like creating these cycles, essentially, is what you're saying.
Exactly, because he knew he had him trapped on the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And then that basically gave the alley-oop, in my opinion, of like, once this cycle was done and he cashed out, games, and this is what I was like, couldn't figure out. Why would GameStop do an ATM after a big run, right? And then why would they do one into a run? Well, they know whoever, I'll let you infer whatever you want, but I think they had strong conviction that a cycle had occurred and whoever profited off of it could be an ally to them.
Mm-hmm.
And sure as shit, what do you see? They do an ATM and he fucking buys calls in the money to build a floor with all the money that he just made on that first cycle.
So let me ask you this: how will he theoretically? Because like, does he technically? So if he wants to create more of these ripples, right? If he wants to keep like, I don't know like where you're heading with this in terms of like if this is pretty much set for what we're going to see potentially later. But do you think he's going to keep creating these kinds of cycles? And if he is, how would he do that when he's already loaded up with shares? He's sitting on 9 million shares. Does he dump half, go back into calls? I mean, what do you see him doing here?
That's a great question, sir. He's got $6 million in cash. He just made this run with $3 million. So he just bought in. We know, in my opinion, it's confirmation at this point that he did not exercise. He purchased his shares.
Correct.
And I think this is very, very intentional based off of this theory, because I think this is actually what kicks off a cycle, is a large block of purchase of shares. And what did we see when he bought those shares? Stock went down the next few days.
Could he, and I'll let Payne go, could he theoretically make this an infinite loop here? I mean, could this be some kind of method that could, whether how they're tripped up with the FDs, like could it theoretically be infinite? Like we could see infinite amount of spikes theoretically. Yes or no?
I would say yes, but I think the caveat is to not break the market and make these infinite in a sense. You would need a counterparty to provide liquidity. Specifically because if you look at his position that he purchased, if he keeps adding shares, he can then only purchase so many calls theoretically, because he's never going to want to go over 5% ownership of the company.
Unless GameStop also sees it and they're going to keep releasing ATMs at the tops.
Right. So like the ATMs actually allowed him, if you look at what his share position was plus his calls, it was 17 million shares. Was fucking 4.95% of the company or something at that time. So now next cycle with 120 million shares or whatever, theoretically, if he makes just as enough cash, he can buy enough calls to put him up to that 4.95%. But it's more than he purchased last time, but he also has more cash to work with.
Gotcha. Man, it's fucking exciting. Payne, go ahead real quick. Yeah, let's hear it.
I thought he was gonna. No, I don't know how the whole 5% works, or if he has to report that.
He would have to report every trade above 5%.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay,
so he's never going to want to do that with what he's doing.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? Because otherwise he'd be stuck.
And it would be delayed. It could move it off of the cycle timeline by even a day. Could mess this up, in my opinion.
Okay, so I thought he would hold the shares until the option chain, the IV crushed like recently this week, and then dump the shares into cash, and then while the IV is low and the market is illiquid, repurchase all the call options while it's low, and then run a cycle like that, right? Because that's what I was kind of doing.
He's not selling shares because he's counting on his share purchase to create internalization to kick off a cycle. So if he were to sell his shares, it'd basically kill that cycle because that obligation's now gone. So he needs to hold his shares for 35 days for that to occur.
But how does he continuously do this like FTD stuff? Like he runs out of money. What can he can't do it anymore, right? He's not going to dump his shares.
He's got to hope that on the 13th day, when he goes to make a move, that IV is low and that he's able to do what he did in April of buying a fuck ton of calls at and out of the money.
Correct.
To then create a gamma ramp, so when they go to actually release his shares or make his obligation whole, you know, it's moving the stock up a few bucks, but then it hits his ramp and then shoots it up 80. So like, again, this might not work every time, but theoretically he would only enter into it if he knew his trade was internalized at the start.
That must be it. That has to be how he's doing that. That must be the Kansas City Shuffle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that has to be it.
Yep.
Does anybody?
Shit, man. Infinite spikes, man. I'm all for it until we see the final one.
So where are we at in that right now, as of today? That's what I want to know.
When did he buy?
Interestingly enough, when he announced that he purchased his calls and did a YOLO post, if you track when he actually, I'm going to just go back and show you when he actually purchased his calls here. The 120,000, $20 strike calls. So if we go back to the 18th of May through the 29th of May, or it's like, sorry, it's right around here. I'm going to sort by size. So you see all these 5,000, 10,000 blocks. This is him purchasing.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, what he did, if he timed it up perfect with that on the 22nd day making a move to start a new cycle, this would be on, what is it, May 24th. He purchased about 1.9 million shares with the money that he made and started a new cycle that would then end on, it would end on June 27th. Which sure as shit, if you look at when he purchased his shares on 6/13, guess what the 13 day of that cycle would be? 1 day before that day. So it literally times up fucking perfectly with the continued cycle. I don't think we necessarily see a initial run though, because it's like a new cycle of the repeated cycle that, like, we've seen the full story now from April to June.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a bit of a lull in the middle here where the new cycle then kicks off. So like, I think what you see, and this is what I am watching for. This is like my indicator.
So sorry, go ahead. Finish up.
Is basically tomorrow or next week for him to be buying a ton of calls.
Okay.
And that would be the indicator that basically everything I just shared with you is that he's just going to repeat the same cycle.
Okay, so he buys on the 13th, or he buys on like not like actually every 13th day, but essentially whenever, in terms of like this FTD run, it's the 13th when it's the lowest in terms of IV, correct?
Potentially. It's either the lowest or the highest, so it oscillates. So initially it's the lowest, he buys, and then on the cycle that compounds, he sells. And then it oscillates back and forth. But on the 22nd day of every cycle, he is buying shares to create a new cycle.
Holy fuck, man.
I have a quick question to Biggy. There's like a lot of call
crazy.
There's a lot of call buying right now. Expired tomorrow. Do you think that's DFV or is this someone else? Because it's just fucking crazy.
I don't think he has any calls right now.
Okay. So this is someone's just like people just loading, calls for tomorrow.
His calls are very specific. He buys in 1,000 to 5,000 block increments, and he will buy up the whole fucking option chain where they have no liquidity on those chains. So I think he's doing that in the hopes that a market maker sells him the block, right? Basically, because the market, they have to create new options to be able to sell him that. And I think he's using that to his benefit, because then that's a naked call basically being sold to him. And yeah, he's literally buying these huge blocks. It's pretty obvious when he buys and sells.
Well, yeah, because we know they only hedged against the first two. When he bought in those 5,000 increments, they hedged against the first two.
I think they hedged, yeah.
They stopped hedging after that, and he bought a ton more. And so I agree. I think those were sold naked in a way, not naked like naked shares, but they were sold like they didn't have the underlying shares, so they would have to go buy them later if that happened to be the case. If they expired in the money, well, they started to delta hedge and gamma hedge, and as the price ran, they had to hedge more and
Yeah.
more and more, and it created that ramp. And I agree.
And he didn't care if they hedged those calls or not, the $120,000 calls, because he was gonna fucking sell them the whole time. That was his game. Basically, build a floor that the company can sell shares and profit off of the cycle he already created. He won the first one, they win the second.
Yeah.
Let the cycle rinse and repeat with more capital.
Yeah, and essentially, if GameStop, obviously views him as an ally here, then they're going to do everything potentially in their path too. Like, look, if they want to raise more money and they know that this is potentially, people, if you've discovered this, Biggie, it's potentially possible that GameStop is aware of this as well. And if they are aware of this and they see this as an opportunity to raise more money, things like that, then you could see a scenario where they're going to kind of throw him a bone each time to make sure he doesn't go over that 5% threshold, right?
Yeah, exactly. It helps them actually.
Yeah. And even in his meme videos, he states there's nothing that can stop this. And I think maybe even market makers, even hedge funds out there are probably even possibly aware of this as well. And they even know that they're kind of stuck in this loop. I mean, I think that this is an issue that they kind of caught themselves in for, the last 3 years. And this is a golden opportunity here. So I really don't think, even if they're aware of this route of which he's taking, that they could really even interfere with whatever he's doing here.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. And this is just from like personal experience. I don't know if hedge funds or market makers fully are aware of what they're creating. I think this is very algorithmic, and I think the algorithm at the start realizes that they cannot, let those shares hit the market, so that the algorithm internalizes it and like just creates this infinite loop. And it's not like, you can go in and just change an algorithm, because if they could, this shit would have been changed in the last 3 years, because this is the exact same thing that happened in December of 2020. Like, I think they don't know until it actually is like breaking the market, which I don't think we want to happen here if we're gonna like have this infinite money printer, basically. That's just my guess. I don't know. Who knows, right? They might be freaking out.
My biggest thing is that how many times that GameStop, like if they do this, because technically they're outstanding, they can go all the way up to 1 billion outstanding shares. So, I mean, you have a long runway here if this is potentially what's going to happen. And, I don't know, it's hard to say. I don't know, man. I mean, it's so crazy. It's crazy enough to work, if you ask me. Go ahead, Ping.
This is like the foreshadowing of fucking margin call, isn't it? When the algo breaks.
Yeah. I mean,
remember the movie? Yeah. So my other thing was, okay, so if GME they're able to do 1 billion TSO, right? Long as runway. Doesn't BBBY also have a 1 billion TSO runway as well?
No, they have 901,000 shares authorized.
What?
Okay.
901 million, excuse me.
Yep.
But the TSO is only like around 400. Is it 400? I don't know. Everyone
428.
428, right? So if it does come back, do we get double runs?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would kind of look at these two things as separate events. I mean, if anything, this is something that GameStop will eventually be making a lot of money off of the shares that they're selling.
Oh, yeah.
And NOLs or something to offset any sort of gains that they're making on their shares that they're selling would be extremely attractive from their standpoint. So, like, and then they're sitting on a pile of cash to do whatever they want over this. I mean, I think this is the smartest thing to do, too, on their end, because, like, if you look at these 35-day cycles, the prior 5 days have huge volume. Any CFO in corporate America will only sell fucking shares into the market if they have 5 consecutive days of high volume. So it's like they're, in quotes, going off of what the market's presenting them, in a sense. It's a very easy defense to be able to sell into high volume, regardless of what the price is doing. And then if you have this, in quotes, controlled MOAS along the way while they're raising their coffers, eventually you're going to start to see cracks in the rest of the market, right? Because, I mean, I would assume market makers are eventually going to start to feel pain from this, and you're going to see weird sell-offs in large cap stocks. And guess what company's going to be sitting on a fuck ton of cash along the way? I think you insert the Ryan Cohen buys all stocks memes.
Yeah.
Right on.
So buy puts on NVIDIA?
Do whatever you'd like. I'm not going to comment.
Biggie, this is potentially... Yeah, this is potentially pretty big, man. I mean, again, if there is a scenario here where, you know, DFE has found a loophole and he's essentially utilizing this loophole, and GameStop is also aware of this loophole, and they know that, look, this guy is a good guy. You know, at the end of the day, he's a retail shareholder and he's, you know, he's figured out how to do this. They're not working together, things like that. Then, you know, it's very possible here that GameStop themselves are going to make sure that he stays under this 5% threshold. I think the biggest question here is how much money are they, or how much money is GameStop going in to raise, right? I mean, is it going to be more than 10 billion? I don't know. You know,
I will say this: I don't think they are intentionally keeping him under the 5% threshold, and I don't think they are communicating with him at all. They're acting solely independent, and they are just looking at volume on a 5-day trading average. That happens to work out in Roaring Kitty's benefit, and that's all I'll say.
All right, right on. Anything else you want to add, Biggie, on your way out? We're all ears. That was like fucking mind blowing, man. Wow. I feel like we need to fucking like nuke the stream after that.
I want to add one question to Biggie, if you don't mind.
We should.
Go ahead, you caught me.
What do you think about my presentation today about the September, you know, the major squeeze and market crash?
I'm agnostic to. I mean, I don't know what this event, like, I don't know what the future will hold. If they rinse and repeat the cycle, it's something like the market's never seen before. Just like actual like start of MOAS in January, like the buy button gets turned off, right? Like, I don't know what this like controlled situation would entail or what will happen along that path. So like, I don't want to put timelines on things, but I will say like there's a high probability we see an abnormal amount of call purchases in 1,000 blocks in the next week or so. I think that would pretty much confirm that they're trying to repeat the cycle again.
But if BBY returns around September, I mean, do you think that could happen? Like, I mean, it's a very catalyst, it's like a catalyst event, right? So
it could, but like, if you're in Roaring Kitty's shoes, what would you want to not happen? Would be no catalyst. You wouldn't want any institution to come in and buy or impact the cycle that he's currently supporting. Like, because like he's basically, they're his bitch right now. Like, he's the one running the cycles and controlling the option chain in a sense. So like, if someone buys a large chunk in the middle of that, it could throw off the timing of what is happening right now. So like, a catalyst could actually be detrimental, in my opinion. Just an assumption. I have no idea. It could also be the thing that creates MOAS, but if they're trying to do this in a controlled way, I don't think it would help his cause.
So if BBY returns and squeeze, and then do you think it will just squeeze run itself, and then nothing happens to GameStop? Because I think it's related, isn't it? Like same like a meme basket stock.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a connection, but I'm just trying to look at like GameStop kind of in a silo right now to just understand what's actually the game being played. Of course, there could be plenty of outside factors that could impact what's happening, but I think no news is actually good news in this situation right now.
So let me ask you this: where does that place us for tomorrow? You know, obviously he bought this this strike. Obviously, it's quad witching day. You know, a lot of volatility on the market. I mean, do you think that tomorrow officially kickstarts the actual cycle itself, or like where are we at with that? Because is he essentially so? In the way, the reason I'm asking this is because the next time we see a large chunk of these blocks start to get bought up, then we can assume that that will be the initially the next first day of the next cycle. Is that right? Or what?
So to be honest, I'm just looking at this like current cycle. If I'm timing it up, 617 through 621 is nothing. And if Roaring Kitty is playing this the same way as he was before, what he's hoping for is flat trading price with IV crush. That's his best opportunity to then buy shit. So I know it's not what you probably want to hear.
No, I'm laughing at moving Dave's comment here. PP asked you about his calls, fucking laughing. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
My calls are fucked like everybody else's, man.
I mean, I had calls here as well, and I rolled them, but like I didn't know what I know now.
Sure.
So I mean, at this point, it's like if next week, which is what I would assume, I mean, it's setting up fucking great with the IV crush right now, and we're trading flat over the past few days. It's like, this is a perfect scenario for him to then buy a ton of calls next week, 3 to 4 weeks out. And then basically what happened started in April, whole cycle repeats.
And we see two spikes within that one cycle. Is that right?
Correct.
So there's one large, but I mean, we don't. There's no way to tell if the first one will be as large as the initial one. I mean, but what we do know is that within these quote unquote cycles, within 35 days, we should see two tops and then bottom out again, repeat, rinse all over. That is to say, if they do
Correct.
ATMs or something has to bring the stock price down, right? For this to actually be continuous, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would have to, if it were to play out the same way, you would see Roaring Kitty sell his calls at the top because he owns the option chain, causing a sell-off. GameStop does another ATM. He buys in the money calls to build a higher floor, maybe at the $25, $30 strike. Then you see the next run occur because that one was set in motion, right before the other one kicked off. And then GameStop sells into that. Kitty holds his calls the whole way through, building that floor, supporting that floor, sells his calls, buys more shares, rinse and repeat.
Wow. That's fucking incredible, man. I mean, wow. I guess we'll have to see what happens, right? So
if he doesn't buy calls, then who knows? Maybe he's banking on retail to buy calls at a time. I don't know. Who knows?
It's hard to say. All right, excellent, man. Well, anything else you want to add tonight, Biggy, for the good people at home, man? Let's hear it. We got quite a bit of people tuning in this evening. What would you like them to know?
That's honestly all I got. Just be careful out there. Options are extremely risky. Don't put in more than you're willing to lose. It's not worth, trying to time exact dates and stuff like that. It never is. I still think long term, this company's got a massive amount of coffers that can be super dangerous if this cycle doesn't work out. They've got $4 billion in cash, man. Like, sky's the limit in the next year or so. So we'll see.
All right, right on. Well, you heard it from Biggy. Chat, let's get some love for Biggy on his way out. Biggy, appreciate you coming on the show, man, and sharing that with us tonight.
Yep. Take care, everyone. Have a good
question.
night.
All
right, see you, man. Oh,
sorry. One quick question. Biggy,
go ahead,
what's your X handle? Or if you're on X.
My what? I don't have social media. I don't do social media. Sorry. Other than Reddit. I know. I'm a loser.
All right. Love you, Biggy. Take care.
What's your Reddit handle?
All right, you heard it from Biggy Smalls, man. Wow, I mean, I gotta say, that's got me absolutely fucking jacked. I mean, Biggy could be onto something here, right? He basically called out the same thing where we see essentially like these 5-day windows where the stock is just pretty much green, that they automatically take the stock down, right? Because they want to keep it out of reg show, things like that. He's a smart guy. Now, all of a sudden, he has potentially discovered something large here. I mean, if there is a scenario here where DFV can time these levels of buying these options when the IV is low, creating these fucking waves, man. I mean, this is how it's fucking done, fellas. I mean, if you're trading fucking options, man, this is like a gold mine. If you ask me, every 35 days, 2 times out of the fucking month, you're going to get paid on these fucking options. Again, if this is what's happening, wow, that's all I got to say, man. It's a well thought out play, and it's essentially the system that they have created. It's the FTD cycle. It's all of this shit at play, and he's essentially taken a hold of this. And I think that's why they can't really intervene or stop something like this, right? Like, this is actual market mechanics that he has taken advantage of here. And again, if Biggie is correct, this could potentially be looking pretty good, man. Someone said, "Be careful," in all caps. Right on, man. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Go ahead, Travis. What do you think?
I was just going to say, not only that, but I mean, the stock ran and he did all this when there was an at-the-market offering by GameStop. Imagine if there hadn't been an at-the-market offering that diluted at the same time. I mean, his profits would have been more. He could have purchased more and set himself up with even more cash. So there is an opportunity for him to go and do it again, if in fact this is his plan or his theory. I think there's opportunity to even make more profit on the next one.
Yeah, well said. I know Nick wanted to share something as well with us tonight. I'll let Nick go in just a moment here. One thing I wanted to bring attention to was what Pratkin sent over to me. He said that this is basically the options industry aggregate trade statistics, May 29th through June 13th. And here we have listed certain trade dates, process, accepted, late, overall errors count. Okay. What Pratkin says is, what did he say here in terms of this? He says, Also, tomorrow is C plus 35 from BTFP and other massive cat errors, which is tomorrow, essentially. And that's why what brings the big question at the biggest question right now is essentially, how this is going to transpire. Is, in fact, tomorrow the first day of this new cycle? I mean, it very well could be possible, right? There is a very lengthy piece of DD that was also written by a user that I believe nuked his account on Superstonk that we're going to read as well tonight. So there's a lot of stuff still to get through. I hope we have enough time to actually get through it tonight, but I don't know, man. Tomorrow could lean one of two ways, right? You either have we could either be heading into the very first day of the cycle, or we don't see that until next week, right? A lot of fucking bets here, though. That is for sure. All right, let's go ahead and real quick. Can you share your screen, Travis, of what I sent you?
What you sent me?
Yeah, backstage there. You see it?
I'm looking for PP's backstage link. Oh, got it. The Reddit one, gallery.
Yes, there is one from Region Formal that we need to take a look at tonight.
I'm not on Reddit. Let me log in real quick.
All right, let me read back a couple of these tips here. My apologies. I didn't even realize there were so many fellas. Fucking Biggy took me off guard there, man. Chris with the 2, tell Pang he need a hawk to clean that camera. We got Sag out there, the CRC 1000 waves. I see it. You copy. You are on to something IMO. Emotional damage with the 2 says slap him. Emotional damage with the 2 says you copy would do well as a weatherman. Medorson with the 2, strawberry moon tomorrow. If you know, you know. We also got emotional damage out there with the 2. I muted him after he said September. Swordfish with the 2. For the love of God, slap this mofo. Fellas, my apology. I don't know how I didn't see these. Short Hedgehog Butt Rammer with the 420. I heard Moaz is tomorrow on the interwebs, bruh. We got challenged by Krill with the 2. Michael the fucking ribs already. Michael's not even on the screen. Michael must have left a while ago, man. I guess he enjoyed those ribs, Michael. Kinky Sex with the PP membership here. New docket drop, notice of service. Anita Dick and me. I need a dick in me. We also got Mark Sloan out there with the 5. Trump complains about short sellers, but the accepted campaign contributions from Ken Griffin. We got King Weenie out there with the $2 to say what the fuck is up, fellas. Love you all. Love you, King Weenie. We got Salty Lizard out there with the 2. Harvest Search Party Fund. Bill Jeet out there with the 2. They do a reverse split to avoid $1 billion outstanding. XYZ with the 2. DFV Doramamu. I came to bargain. Doramamu. What the fuck? We also got Chris out there with the 2. They can't raise infinite money. We'll have to use it. The Cheese out there with the 2. The 199 chat's not good for you, PP. Where's baby? And we also got Chad Mojo with the PP membership here. Lola only bet on 20 twice. Time for news. The timing is perfect. I don't know, man. It could go one of two ways. I really don't know. I think the biggest question is how much fucking cash essentially GameStop is planning to raise here. So
Yeah, I'm
real quick before we get into this next thing.
Sure.
What's the chart that he brought up when he was looking at the option purchases, the option activity?
Unusual whales.
Was it unusual whales? Okay, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, it was.
Okay,
and not
thanks.
only that, there was a comment about reverse split to keep him from going over $1 billion or whatever it was. And no, a reverse split will change the CUSIP number and can actually knock shorts out of the game, and they don't have to fulfill. So
they're not going to reverse split.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. There's a lot of rules and regulations behind reverse splits. CUSIP number changes, and we do not want to see that. So
they did a 4-1, right?
that was a split via a split-end.
Yes. But maybe like what that user is saying is that, like, I don't know, going from like a split dividend to back to normal. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. Reverse splits are handled differently. There's a little bit more. There's different rules there.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to reverse split. All right. So this is a post from Regional Formal. He says some quite frankly insane cat reporting data for the 1st of May could have been what led to Roaring Kitty's return and possibly also a means for anticipating future price run-ups from now. After this post, I'm going to let Nick go and then let Nick say what he wants to say. And then we need to dive into some of the bond stuff. So for some of the people out there, there was a bond workout day yesterday. I wish ABC was here because he really does know the bonds a little bit better than I do. But hopefully we can do what we can in terms of some of that information tonight. So we will be jumping into the bond stuff as well. I know I saw a couple of you guys comment on it earlier. All right. Does he have like the blue boxes here or what? Yeah, here we go. All right. So we're already familiar with the cat rules. Hopefully most of you had a chance to read through my previous post about cat reporting data. If not, then see the link below. Let's go ahead and go to the next page. All right. So I believe, this was actually a different image that Praken sent me. This one says the topic of the post was about the humongous number of trades with the errors reported under cat on the 1st of May. Wow. That is a shitload of errors. It says here, this is 7.1 billion. In fact, represents 14.7% of all equity trading that took place in the U.S. on that date.
15% of the entire market.
15% error.
That's insane.
Yes.
That is fraud.
Yeah. This is across all stocks, right? This is across like the entire market itself.
Wow. All equity.
Quite a bit.
All equity. So stocks, bonds, everything. The whole shebang.
Well, bonds are debt, so that's...
Oh, okay. Well, equity.
All right. Moving on.
I'm smooth, man. What do you want?
Polish that head.
It says here, as per the previous post, it says that report shows aggregate data for all equities trading, so not possible to identify which trades have not been reported correctly. It says here, however, it is very interesting that GME went plus 17% the very next day. I'm just losing my mind still over what Biggy was talking about, man. I mean, like, that is just like, wow. What a fucking... That could, in fact, be the fucking goddamn Kansas City Shuffle, man. I don't know. You know, I mean, you're talking about a very lucrative way to trade options at the top and just literally wait to the bottom to add more shares, rinse and repeat to literally until finally the company announces that they're doing an acquisition, I guess. So I don't know. Might have a little bit of time here to make some money. It says here, not only that, but the stock then ran another 77% from the 5th of June, which is T35 days from the 1st of May. So even Region Formal sees it too. This got me thinking, although the errors reported under CAT are a macro level for all equities, could these reports be hiding any trends with GME?
I think that's supposed to be at a macro level, but speculating.
Gotcha. To check, I downloaded all the monthly CAT update reports that FINRA has been releasing over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, the relevant data, daily reporting of how many trades were reported with incorrect data is contained in PDF format only. Meaning no easy way to process the data, e.g. If as a CSV file, so I had to do manual checking and copying.
And that sucks, by the way. You know, a CSV is very helpful. CSV is a comma separated file. It's an Excel file.
Says here, I used Excel to keep track of any dates that had excessive error counts, which I set at 100 million. Okay. Like 1st of May, occasionally the figure reported is enormous and running into the billions on a single day. Is there a blue at the top or no?
Nope.
It says here, or stacking up over the course of a week or so to effectively also be billions of errors when compounded as well. What's the numbers from here to where?
Well, we kind of started seeing weeks here of stacked numbers, and then, you know, another kind of couple days stacked, and then, you know, we have a lot of June that are just stacked numbers, and so he's using that as an example of what he was looking for. I'm unmuted, correct?
All right. Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah. Sadly, these CAT monthly update reports only began to be released in late 2021, so no data before that. It says here, and until spring 2022, the error statistic contained were just a sample of a few days each month and not the full raw data. And did we ever see those FTDs for mid-May yet or no?
We did. They mid to late May came out. Oh, you talking about the 3 days that were missing? No, we have
Yeah.
not. No.
Okay. There must have been a lot of volume on those days.
Or misreported data or unconfirmed data where they said, hey, look, we have some longs, we have some shorts, we're not sure what's FTDs, we got to look further into this. They maybe request an extension from the SEC. It's granted.
Mhm.
They just they don't report until next cycle. Who knows?
It says here, but with the available reports and data identified 9 instances when the error count was at least 1.8 billion within 5 trading days as follows. T plus 35 date here, we have 6/5/24, 11/27, 2/22, and 6/5. When did we run recently? Was that not? Wasn't it the
6/6?
Was it?
Yeah.
No shit.
Let me double check.
It was, yeah. It was the 6th. Sure enough, it was.
Yeah.
It was actually those 3 days. So it started June 4th, 5th, and 6th. Those 3 days we had a run up.
I'm pulling. Hold on.
Wow.
And PP, I sorry to cut you off, but I think we're gonna repeat that same cycle. I think next 2 weeks.
Interesting.
June 6th was the run. Look right here.
Yeah, it was.
And then it ran into after hours. That's when they really tried to cover all their tracks. But yeah, June 6th.
Interesting.
Very.
Yeah, it's all correlated for sure. Says here, I then checked what happened to GME's price from the trading day after the count was 1.8 billion. Here are the results. Let's take a look here. So it says on the date of 5/1/24, the adjusted error rate 14.7%. Overall error count was 7.1 billion. T plus 35 date was 6/5. Here we had a 497% move up from the 2nd of May over 13 days. Next one up, we had the date of October 23, 17.4% adjusted error rate. It says here 8.1 billion in terms of the error count. T35 date was 11/27. GameStop moved up 30% from the 24th of October over 36 days. Next one down below is we had GameStop move 62% move up from the 19th of January over 31 days. There was 1.9 overall error count on that one. The one with 2.1 billion overall error count, it says GME moved 44% up from the 3rd of October over 28 days. Next one below that, 50% move up in the 1st of September over 60 days, 60% move up from 14th of July over 53 days. And then we also have 60% move up from the 16th of June over 53 days as well. It says from the trading day after 1.8 billion errors, all 9 instances resulted in a price run within 60 days.
Yeah, I mean, but the day count is
delete
weird.
this episode ASAP.
But the day count is weird.
Why?
It should be your T plus 35 is when you should really see it, which these hold true. This over 60 days, it's a little much. Over 53 days, that's a stretch. 53 days, that's a stretch. You should be looking at T plus 35, maybe T plus 35 plus 2 plus 6, possibly. But even on that, 53 days, that's kind of starting to stretch a little bit, unless you use some EFT obligations to offset it. I just don't see it extending out that far. There's rules against that. But these 5 right here are absolutely beautiful, and I mean, Region just knocked it out of the park on this, and somebody was talking about Hawk Tua, and I just want to Hawk Tua Region right now because, good God, man, this is amazing stuff.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very big deal, and also surprisingly, Larry Chang just tweeted as well. He said "game changer," but he was basically quote tweeting a U.S. mobile thing. I don't know. Maybe it's not correlated. Maybe it is. Let's see. It says the reason I selected the day after hitting the 1.8 billion was because that is the earliest it would be known that such a mark had been reached. Next, I looked at the T plus 35 date after 1.8 billion errors had been passed.
I don't know if I can zoom in much more on this. I can read it if you can't. It
Yeah,
says,
why don't you read it for us?
it says 77% move up from 5th June over 2 days. 53% move up from 27th November over 30 days. 32% move up from 22nd February over 28 days. 21% move up from 18th January over 31 days. 13% move up from 4th November over 14 days. 35% move up from 4th October over, I can't see that, 27 days. 10% move up on 17th August. 54% move up from 11th July over 53 days. And lastly is 59% move up from 10th June over 53 days. That's small. It's really hard to read even for me, and it's full screen on my side. So
It says, once again, all 9 instances result in a price of a run within 60 days. This time, the average price run was 39%. The median was 35%. It says here, what is happening with CAT that is maybe allowing us to identify a link between the audit trail and most likely criminal trades of GME? I really do not know, but looking at how errors are identified, it may be that these files are containing hidden information about FTDs. It says here, whatever the cause may be, 9 consecutive instances of the same pattern resulting in a price run seems more than just pure coincidence. It says here, this then when you add a similar effect with the 9T plus 35 price runs as well, statistically highly probable, I guess, that there is some kind of link here.
whoa, that's all right.
It says here, lastly, I mentioned in the previous post, the June CAT update meeting is taking place this afternoon, which was today.
Yes.
Not sure how quickly they will then publish the error data statistics following the webinar at 4:15. Did you guys happen to look into the stuff from today?
I had a busy work schedule. Unfortunately, I could not.
It says here, but if June contains any dates when there was, but if June contains any dates when there were 1.8 billion errors, then I would watch GME closely to see the result of the of instance 10. What do you think? Regional Formal could be onto something here.
Yeah, we have a great theory. I mean, again, 5 of those fell within right along the T plus 35 trading days. And of course, it's easy to get T plus 35 mixed up if you don't include holidays, and holidays are easy to miss. And so maybe he was off 1 or 2 days because of a holiday that he didn't see. But I agree on this. I think there's something possibly here. The whole idea that the CAT system, I'm going to go back actually quite a bit. So I'm sorry I'm sharing while I'm doing this. I want to go back to this right here. 7 billion late, which was like 15% of the entire equities market that wasn't submitted correctly. 7 billion trades that weren't submitted correctly. I mean, that's huge. I mean, you're talking about what is our market worth? Trillions of dollars possibly, or 400 billion or something like that. I forget what NASDAQ is, what kind of money flows through it, but 15% errors on the fairest and freest markets out there, like, that's huge. We're talking about a lot of financial fraud. We're talking about a lot of potential, like a lot of Americans and people overseas not getting paid. We're talking about hurting everyday people here by having these kinds of errors. This could be big, and I think this CAT system is really going to help start to expose Wall Street for what it really is.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously a lot of fraud that goes on here, right? I mean, like, within this system and things like that. And, if certain people are challenging the CAT system, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. So, all right, let's go ahead and go to the next post here. There was, where's that one with? I wanted to take a look at the workout date. How good are you fellas with bond? Or I'm sorry, before we go to that here, we'll go to this one next. We'll let Nick go. Nick, are you there with us? All right, let's see you on the screen. We can't hear you. All right, there he is.
Woo!
What's going on?
Not much, brother. Not much. Good to see you guys.
All right, good to see you, man. What do you have for us tonight, Nick? What'd you come to share? You said you wanted to jack some tits tonight, man. So let's hear it.
Oh man, I'm gonna jack some titties.
All
Hopefully
right.
by the end of this, I'm gonna have a lot of people saying, "You copy is now you're goddamn right."
All right, right on. Let's hear it.
So, you know I'm a storyteller, so I got to get into the whole thing here. I'm gonna go down it, and I promise it's gonna be worth it.
Take it away for us, Nick.
So I had to take a step back from fasting and smoking weed.
Right on.
Seeing aliens, and I was like, "What the fuck is DFV talking about aliens?" Then when I saw his live stream and realized that he was a Gemini, it hit me. I was like, "Oh fuck, Aquemini," because I'm an Aquarius. Outcast, the fucking best rap group of the '90s era, and he didn't use any of their music except I think he might have used "Hey Ya" before. But he did use Ludacris twice. And that's important because Luda Day weekend is coming up. Ludacris has a day with the Braves during Labor Day weekend where he will be doing a concert and there will be a bobblehead given away. Woo.
All right, right on.
Now, when I think about the Braves have been around for 152 years. And oftentimes, you know, you talk about BlackRock, Vanguard, we talk about these old companies that have all this fucking money, but the Braves have been around for 152 years in the backdrop investing in shit. So, but they didn't have to put it out there because they were a private company essentially, right?
Yes.
I don't know if I talked about it before, but I got to mention it because it's important to the story. DFV put up, there was a scene from Candyman. And in the scene, there's Candyman, and he hops out on the white girl, and she's in the hood, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm about to die." And he's like, "Hey, I know your DNA or whatever." In the scene, a bee comes out of his mouth. Now, the Braves used to be known as the Bees. They were the Boston Bees from 1936 to 1940. Now, DFV being a Boston guy, I'm pretty sure he knows his teams of that era. And I'm pretty sure being as meticulous as he is, he probably found out or saw a long time ago that the Braves made a deal with Marcus Lowe back in 1923, and that they more than likely own a shit ton of AMC through the Lowe's merger from 1990. Now, as Muhammad Ali would say, you move like a butterfly, but you sting like a bee.
Yes.
So kept being on the Brave shit. And I'm like, all right, man, I know I'm going crazy. So I hop on the SEC and the Edgar and I search. At first, I was searching Atlanta Braves because I was looking at the Atlanta Braves 8K every day, refreshing, seeing what the fuck they got going on. Only thing that I see is that Series B is on OTC and has been since last year, July 19th, when the series split up into A, B, and C. Now, when I search just Braves on the Edgar SEC, couple hits came up. One that let me know I was on the right track. The name that popped up said Linda Newton. Now, who's been in the papers recently? Richard Newton. And Richard Newton's been doing all this TA. Well, I tell you what, guys, you're looking at another one. My name's Nicholas Miles Newton, and I'm here to balance some shit out with the spiritual. So, I see there's a speech by Hester Pierce. Now, this speech was given October 26th, 2018. Do you guys know what happened on October 26, 2023? Brandon Meadows dropped 0.5 billion. Now, in the speech, Hester makes a joke about wishing she could have watched the Cleveland Indians versus the Atlanta Braves in the World Series, which is a very big joke because Cleveland was not making it to the World Series, but the Braves did end up making it 3 years later in 2021. Now, here's where the juicy part comes in. She talks about getting a guilty conviction against Elon in that same year in 2018, in which he had to give up the $50 billion, which I think it was recently overturned. Now, what was even crazy was they wanted him to give up his position as CEO, and it was like, what the fuck? it just reminded me of everything that they're fucking fighting against. Government has no business invoking on the rights of someone who's built a company from the ground up. Now, she makes two references to two songs by one hit group. That first song is Money. Money was written by Berry Gordy, B. Strong, and Janine Bradford. It would become the very first on Motown, recorded at Hitsville, USA Studios, Detroit, Michigan. This time for Detroit mirrors what's going on here in Atlanta. Growth, opportunity for growth, and jobs. I was talking about it the other day with someone. If you think about it, LA is already maxed out. New York is maxed out. Hollywood is here. We have the biggest airport in the fucking world. And do you know what else is going on today that's really crazy? A hedge fund guy, I don't know his name, invested in the oldest black baseball field in Birmingham, Alabama. Tickets were fucking 300. That's why I'm here tonight. Tickets were $350 fucking dollars. Who went to that game? Because it was not me, your regular Joe Schmo, but they had an actual MLB game tonight. Now, the second song was Help. Both of these songs came out in the 60s. The Beatles recorded Money in 7 takes on July 18th, 1963. A series of piano overdubs was later added by producer George Martin. The song was released in November 1963 as the final track on their second UK album. RC tweeted, "It's time for pillow fights and 60s music, August 27th, 2021, a couple days before Labor Day weekend." That's all I got.
I like it. What do you fellas think, man? I mean, some of the dates, like, potentially, there could be something going on here. Again, I always like the the Atlanta Braves DD. I think it's fucking fantastic. What do you fellas think?
Well, I want to know, like, how do you think this fits into, like, the larger picture, like that we've sort of like put together, right? Because so far this has been kind of like another like branch of this, but I want to see how it wraps back into like what we're doing, right? Because that's something I still haven't been able to quite piece together. Because I think that the connections you're making here are pretty solid. I've always thought that the things that you've been bringing up have been solid, but I'm just like, okay, what kind of conclusion do you think we should draw from this? If
Well,
we'll say soft conclusion, right?
I
Because
think
obviously we don't know nothing.
for me, it's I've been thinking about that also. And I think the Braves are the final piece. And I think that's because they're the daddy. They're the daddy. I think they own so much shit that they are the parent company of a lot of companies. And once they hit that pullback merger and reverse merger back into themselves, you can't. Oh, and there's the other thing why I think that. When they split up into Series A, B, and C last year, one thing that they added to their 8K, I think, or their prospectus, was that every share had to be in book form. And that's the only way you can get an Atlanta Braves share.
All right. I like that. I like that a lot.
Well said, man. Nick, appreciate it, man. Anything else you want to add tonight to some of the people out there tuning in? Let's hear it, man.
Man, I just want to say, y'all, we almost there, man. I know it's been a long fucking journey.
Hell yeah, it has been.
But enjoy this shit. Enjoy this time. It's about the journey. It is never about the end game, because once you get the money, life still has to be lived. This life, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know we are gonna like have life-changing money, as they say, but as DFE pointed out, he could have took the money and ran a long fucking time ago. It's not about the money, it's about putting back into the world, giving back, exchanging ideas that you might not necessarily agree with someone, but having an open mind to at least fucking listen, right, and view things from a different perspective.
Right on. Well said, Nick. Appreciate the again what you had to discuss in terms of the Atlanta Braves and some of these dates. I don't know. I think it sounds kind of good, man. There could be something here, potentially something to look into. So, Nick, appreciate having you on the show, and please enjoy the rest of the night and chat. Let's get some love for Nick on his way out.
Appreciate you guys. Much love.
All right, take care, man. See you, man.
Peace.
Take it easy, Nick.
Have
All
a
right,
good
you
one,
heard
buddy.
it from Nick. We also got real quick. Two guests back here. We got 10 Shorts and also Ray. Let's go ahead and bring both these two in here. So, Chad, welcome these two. All right, we got Ray with us and also 10 Shorts. How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good. Perfect. Ray, you're up first. You were here first. Let's hear it. What would you like to share with everybody tonight?
Cool. So I wanted to just add on to Nick's. I know everyone was wanting Biggy back, but I think Nick was going somewhere. And if we add it to the bigger picture, that brings back in Ryan Cohen and AMC. If we are all watching Lego right now, right? Kind of.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, like the tinfoil coming out from Lego. Absolutely.
Right. And if you look at the Teddy books, we have a ton of Lego parts in there, correct?
Yep.
Now, in Lego, we were directed in a way of how we identify as being robots in this world, and someone has to go in and save it, right? And if you look at all these movies, including, as you just said, Candyman, Lego, Ready Player One, all these Easter eggs are out there. And they've been out there since movies were around, since theaters utilized them as a means of news, which happened during wartime, right? So when the theaters came over here after World War II and they used it as a creative outlet and a way to converse, we also then said, you cannot own a theater and produce movies at the same time. So they created these laws, which then divided basically the ability for people to do both things. But then in a roundabout way, we had the subsidiaries of these American-made companies that were basically the competitor, and they've always found these loopholes to take away, right? So if you look back to AMC, you can follow it all the way through Texas, all the way back to different areas of books and the arts, because they all are connected. Everybody who's in this fight, who's joining BBY and GameStop, they are a collective of people who are not fighting for the money, right? As the Joker says, this is not about the money. This is about sending a message. And this is about sending a message to people that we're not in the Kansas City shuffle anymore, right? We're not going to pretend to be these patsies, right? And we saw, I can't remember, the tennis player get posted on Roaring Kitty the other day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that pose, we know that pose. And when did it happen? The only time that we've had, what was the tournament? The U.S. Open. It was the only time we went against France, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was a hothead. But if we look at who he married the woman who stars in the moon, or the movie, The Blue Moon, which is based in Kansas City, where Lucky Number 11 is also based on the train with what's-his-butt.
No way.
Yes, it is. And he says, the Kansas City Shuffle, you know, I make him think I'm going to go left, but I really go right. It's about faking out everybody. You're this pushover, right? And I hate to say it, but there's all these terminologies that go back to World War II. That is, you know, what we're seeing right now, anti-Semitism, everything. It's political and it's bigger. And when you're all talking about, well, what's he going to do with all this money? What do you mean, what's he going to do with all this money? He's having cash on hand because Ryan's a good man. And when the world goes down and there is no money to back everything that is being cheated from so many places, he's going to say, you know what? I got the cash. And I'm going to back it. And then if you're looking at his other GameStops where they're creating the NFTs, he's got a 2% rate compared to other places that charge a 50% rate. And what he talks about all the time is you get fucked on the payments, the fees, and all these places get screwed, which is why we want blockchain. We want transparency. We want a handshake. It goes back to handshake. Yeah, Teddy, hump that thing, right? So when you think about it, they've worked together. They've all been moving together from Sun Valley to where they are now, to potentially the Braves, to the Celtics, to McElroy, to all these films, to Epstein Island. The Bayside Mall is connected to the underground Jewish community that's connected to the Virgin Islands, and nothing's going to happen until the RICO case is done, because all our money is held up in that ring, which is why we're like, where's it at? Well, no one knows, because no one knows where the people are at, because that's how fucked up we are.
So let me ask you this: where do you think that we're kind of at in terms of, like, you know, some of these options with DFV and kind of like these cycles? I mean, do you think that, you know, GameStop maybe has an inclination here that potentially DFV is creating some of these cycles? I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
Of course, the world is based on cycles. That's what they're telling you. The charts all the time. Those same charts are the AMC charts, the GME charts. Woo! Yeah, they're the same charts. You know why? Because it's a cycle. As we keep saying, it's the same thing. And the reason we keep fucking ourselves and going more in debt, because we keep putting the same people in power and we keep trusting the wrong people. Exactly. We're like in crazy mode, and we start to gaslight ourselves. And no, we're not stupid anymore. And that's the problem. They can't hide it. And we know it. But who's going to do it? Just the PP show? No, you've got these big guys who drop their little eggs, got you to snack on. We get bored. It's COVID, right? It all goes together. And they're holding it up because they can't do anything because of freaking Trump. Yeah. And because there's going to be a monarchy. You keep talking about butterflies. Duh. Look at the Canada law. There's a monarch law in business. And
Ray, are you there?
Yeah, we're.
Is she lagging out for you guys?
Yeah, we're losing her.
Ray, I think we're having a couple issues there. You're moving at like one fucking frame a second. Anything else that you want to add tonight, Ray? I think we're just having a couple issues there. It looks like your Wi-Fi signal there is it says 4 out of 10, so it looks like it's kind of weak. Anything else you want to add tonight, Ray? Love the energy. Let's hear it. I can't even hear her. I think the internet is fucked. Ray, are you there? Yeah, they got Ray. All right, you heard it from Ray tonight. I have no idea.
Sprint.
What the fuck, man? That was so weird. Like, she came in, everything was great. I love the fucking energy, and the fucking internet's like fucked, man.
Dude, when she was like monarchy, that's like they got her, man. No, she knows too much.
Fucking government's watching the show, man, for sure. Hopefully you can make out what Ray came to tell us. Again, love the energy. I love the message. And again, you know, maybe some issues with technical stuff. Very bizarre. Yeah, right when she was talking about the Monarch stuff. All right. Let's go ahead and take a very quick look at this next thing for tonight. And
10 Shorts is back.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 10 Shorts real quick. We don't have a lot of time left. Ray, if you're still out there tuning in, please feel free to join us tomorrow if you can. Have a little bit more time. We'd love to hear a little bit more. All right. All
right, guys. I'm going to bounce now. So, yeah. Talk to you guys
later.
Right.
Take care, you copy. See you, man.
Good night, guys.
All right. 10 Shorts, go ahead, take it for us. And I'm going to get this back on full screen. This will be one of the last things we take a look at tonight in terms of the workout date, in terms of those bonds. Go ahead. 10 Shorts. Let's hear it, man.
Can you approve my screen share?
Sorry?
Can you approve my screen share?
Yes. Yeah. What do you have to show us tonight?
This is a little bit of AMC stuff that I've been tracking for a while. It's super simple, very straightforward. It's kind of the same stuff as like that giant, GME falling wedge. So this is 2021, February, January. Yeah, just take note of this blue line and how it plays off of it, and then you see it, kind of. You see it run up, and then if you switch to the daily, you'll notice this big. Turn off the Bollinger Bands. It'll make sense in a second. You see this pink line where you see price very clearly playing around it, using it as resistance, and then all the way flashing forward to the 2 hour time frame.
What the hell is that sound?
What?
What's that sound?
It sounds like a mechanical keyboard.
Oh, is that what that is?
It's not mine. I'm on a laptop.
Something's.
It was coming from my mic.
Go ahead.
All right, go ahead, man. Sounds like thumping or something.
No, it's
might be the
I mean, if he's on a
dude.
laptop, it might be like the reverberations of the keys, like through the microphone. Are you using your laptop mic? Is that what you're doing?
It's like a crappy. It's my mom's computer.
Okay, well, yeah, that's probably what it is then.
Go ahead, 10 Shorts. Where did Payne go?
This is you see.
Left. He said he had to go. Literally a minute ago.
Oh shit, my bad.
No, that was
not good.
Go ahead, 10 Shorts.
Yeah, so basically, that blue line you saw we launch off of it in 2021 back in January, and that pink line obviously we've been playing around it as resistance for the last couple of years, and you see right now they are converging, and we're about to break out of this falling wedge on AMC. You can see, one thing I noticed is so when GME first ran back on May 14th, you see AMC went all the way up to 1330. And then it rejected off this line. And so when GME ran again, back June 7th, I was wondering, okay, how come it didn't run? And it's because it hit its head on this trend line here. And then it did the same thing earlier in the week. It's kind of, it's seeing pressure around these levels. And then if you notice when I turn on the Bollinger Bands and turn off these lines, they're super tight. And they haven't been this tight since middle of April. There's like a 20-cent spread. And MACD is curling.
Why the fuck are we looking at AMC, man?
No, hold on. I thought we liked things really tight.
Well, it ties into GME because they run together, right? And so if look at GME's Bollinger Bands. And so, Bollinger Bands this tight going into, quad witching. And we already kind of bottomed out this week. And if you look at the MACD, we could see a big, they run in tandem, right? Everybody knows that. So I think, where one goes, the other goes. And so if AMC is at a point where it's breaking out of these big trend lines and you could see it, move upward, it could potentially pull GME up with it too.
Well, okay, yeah, fair. Well, which I think in the basket, obviously I do think that AMC will move when we see these obviously big moves with GameStop due to the basket, things like that. But where do you stand with what Biggy kind of shared tonight and what UCopy was sharing in terms of maybe DFV having control of some of these algos here and kind of creating these cycles? What are your thoughts there in terms of that? Or where do you stand?
I didn't hear any of that. I just got on. I was just I saw you guys didn't do a show last night, and I just got home right now. And I just popped on YouTube, and I saw that you were live. So I what?
Yeah, no. The market was closed yesterday, so we didn't stream. But yeah, tonight I was just making up for last night. So, but yeah, basically, I guess what UCopy believes is that essentially we're going to see kind of more of these cycles. Like this isn't the only one, where we topped at 80, saw another 65. What do you personally think when you're kind of analyzing your charts? Where do you think we land at there?
I'm excited. So, obviously, the volatility builds and then we see these big run-ups, right? The thing that I'm excited to see is, both of those run-ups, the reason they dumped is because of the ATM offerings. So I'm assuming they're done with them now. I can't see them, I think if they did it a third time, you get a little bit of backlash, at least personally, retail getting rug pulled a third time, at least in the short term. So I'm excited to see, when we get up into these levels, imagine where share price would have kept going if they didn't sell that morning on June 7th, right? Probably would have gone over $100. You know, like so I think these cycles are definitely in play here, and it's a lot of it's consolidation. I've almost got reason to believe, based on when I look at these charts and how they play out, that the algos trade in a way that paints these trend lines that almost like paints these false bull flags temporarily to fake people out on options and grab liquidity. That's yeah. But
Right on.
you said DFV controls algos or something?
So he was kind of looking at some of the charts and stuff, and what he believes is that maybe due to some of like these cycles and things like that with the FTDs and some of his options and shares, there could be a possibility that he kind of controls the cycle here. Again, very speculative, highly speculative. Nobody can confirm that for sure, but yeah, I mean that's kind of where we sit. Go ahead, Pink. You have your hand up.
Yeah, I've always wondered whether the algorithms are meant to actually take money from retailer, because we're technically speaking, overall, we're only 5% of the market. So who is the algos designed to take money from? Is it institutional, having like institutions having like algo battles? That's what I've always wondered.
Well, they're designed to take
It's like AI
money.
driven.
Yeah, well, yes, but they're designed to take money from anybody who does a market order. If you do a market order, that's when they get the most money because they make a profit on the spread. Now, if you do a limit order, they make less money. They have to actually do the whole market maker thing. And if you buy money at the ask, and you slap that ask, I mean, slap it hard. They make less money. So if you, that's right. But that's the difference. Is like if the spread is 10 cents and you do it at the market, they'll usually fill it at a midway point, and they make money on the 5 cents. At every trade, and we're talking hundreds of trades at 100 shares. I mean, they're day in day out, they're stealing pennies from people each and every day that way. But if you do it at the ask, yes, you're going to pay more, but the market maker actually makes less. That's how they make their money. Is they make it on the bid spread ask and people who do market orders. If you want them to make less money, you're going to pay a little bit more, but it keeps money out of their pockets. And that's why Gary Gensler came out and said, if you do a market order, there's a 90% chance that your order is going to get internalized by a market maker into their dark pool. And that's right. And they're going to make money on the spread.
Well said. 10 shorts. Closing thoughts, man. Let's hear it.
Closing thoughts?
Or yeah, if you wanted to ask anything, go ahead too.
Well, no, I just wanted to bring up, I mean, I think it's pretty important. Did you guys see the post in Superstonk about it was a keynote from like a finance presentation from about like 2019, and it was talking exactly about it was talking about how market makers will purposely fail to deliver in order to gain short exposure, but through ETFs. And did any of you guys see that post? I watched the entire thing. It was like 45 minutes, and it was really interesting because the guy who wrote this paper and was talking about it, he was talking about how the one of the outliers for these ETFs that have crazy short exposure compared to the actual number of underlying shares that these market makers hedge with is XRT. And this is in 2019, so it just kind of goes to show how they were shorting through ETFs to pummel GameStop, and people were noticing it but not really knowing why. Almost like a year and a half before GameStop even did anything. And so I thought that was really interesting. And the thing that he was bringing up, I'll just summarize quickly. The thing that he was bringing up for the purpose of his paper is, how does that play in, a time of financial stress where you have, 70 million shares of an ETF owned, but like 11 million or something, the underlying, these market makers aren't hedging properly and they're overselling the ETFs and never actually buying the underlying securities. And it all just seems like a giant Ponzi scheme to me. I mean, he talked about how $5 trillion have flowed into ETFs over the last, X number of years. And if they're just, selling the ETF and they're not actually, hedging with the underlying, it's almost like ETFs are, their own version of a synthetic share. Because, you're supposedly buying a piece of this basket, but if the basket owner is, not even buying the underlying. I mean, what are you really buying? You know what I mean?
No. Yeah, but that's exactly what ETFs are, and that's why they're 200% short, and it doesn't even affect the market because they'll simultaneously buy or one party will lend out their shares of the ETF, another will at the same simultaneously borrow all of them. Let's say there's 100 different stocks in a certain ETF, then they'll simultaneously buy 99 of those shares, leaving the other one completely short, and they'll have all those locates automatically on that one, which is what they're doing for GameStop essentially. And that's why you see XRT as the most, I don't know if it's the most, it's the most fraudulent one.
So we got to start wrapping up here.
I'll say one last thing and then I'll shut up.
Yeah.
Okay, it's because I think you'll love this because it's got to do with Bed Bath. The last time that XRT rather peaked in terms of short interest, it was like 529%, was on the day that our Bed Bath shares got canceled. And that was the day we were seeing price like spike to 300%, every now and then.
Shut up.
Yeah, go look on Chart Exchange.
That makes a lot of sense.
I have it open. What day was that? September 30th.
September 29th.
Got it. You ready for this? I'll share it. Hold on. Now, what am I looking for here?
So look at the actual. I can actually I'll screen share it and show you.
Oh shit! It did spike. Well, I mean, not a.
If you go to
ran.
No. I'm talking about short interest.
Oh.
So sorry, but it's 400 and yeah. Okay. Let me,
short sell volume.
Wait, look at this. So XRT short interest. Did my screen
Go
share?
ahead. PP, if you're there, can you share his screen? There we go.
See, look. So you can see down at the bottom. It's kind of hard to see, but 9/29/2023. This was the last peak for XRT. 488% point short interest.
But how much of Bed Bath & Beyond was in XRT? Now,
well, that's what I'm curious about. Is because people have talked about how the basket would adjust on with the shares being canceled. So maybe it did something to how they trade these short baskets, and XRT had to kind of pull the slack when it came to pummeling down AMC and GameStop on this day. So I mean, obviously we know how much fuckery there is with XRT. I don't think it's a coincidence that on the day that Bed Bath & Beyond was being canceled, we see this enormous spike in short interest. Like it goes from 182% short interest on September 15th to 488 14 days later, like calendar days. So I mean why, I don't know, but it's definitely something, right? Is my thing.
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
All right, I'll wrap it up. All right, thanks guys.
All right, take care, man. See ya.
Later.
All right. Sorry, fellas. We got to wrap up here. We're going to close up with this. Obviously, there was a workout date the other day on some of these bonds. Now, the specific bonds that we are referring to with Bed Bath & Beyond were the same. It was actually one day that these bonds were essentially issued.
I'm still getting a clicking. And 10 shorts left.
Still here. No, he's still here.
Oh shit. Oh. All right, he's gone now. I don't know what the fuck that was. Yeah, maybe it's all in your head, Travis. All right. It's all good. He's out of here. Appreciate the love, 10 shorts. So pertaining to these Bed Bath bonds here. Okay. Very interesting thing. Now, essentially, as we know with these bonds specifically, they were issued a day after Ryan Cohen and Carl Icahn were seen pictured together. I believe, and again, ABC's not here tonight. I wish he was, so we can kind of dive a little bit more into some of this bond stuff. But according to ABC, I believe that these can, in fact, be exchanged for equity. They can be converted to my knowledge. Now, what this user goes on to say, can I read the top name here? What's the, can I see what the name is? Yeah. This is from Brock Like Stock. It says, interrogated a LLM about bond workout and bankruptcy emergence dates of past chapter 11s. Got mean workout to emergence time of 50 days. SD equals 100.6 with the median of only 12 days. No clue how accurate workout dates from LLMs are, given their inclination to confabulate. What the hell is he even talking about? Confabulate. What the fuck? The fuck are you talking about, man? Tell me whether or not what the fuck is up with the bonds, man. Confabulate. What the fuck, man? All right.
The word means to talk informally. So
Well, fucking say it.
yeah, I know, right?
They're
out to get you, PP. They're out to make you look stupid.
Travis, what are your thoughts on the workout date that was scheduled yesterday in terms of these bonds? Do you think that they may have like essentially got to some form of like a conclusion on them or what?
I think a lot of things have bottlenecked into 2 weeks ago or a week ago. And then the dam started opening its doors and the floodgates are open and we are going to start to see just everything pouring out quickly, swiftly. And I think this is one of those kind of roadblocks it's not in the way. It's just another stepping stone of, we're slowly opening the dam and the water's going to start flowing. I do believe that there's a possible debt for equity exchange here.
Yeah.
There's possible that there's still, a stalking horse that's going to come in and be like, we're buying you out. Get out.
Yeah. I mean, it's the most likely if you ask me. Sorry. That's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of possibilities, especially this late in the game. I think they've held off this long to get everything out of the way, to push all of this aside, leaving only what's left. Come in, stalking horse it, boom, we're done. Let's go.
Yeah.
Very, very possible for the Bed Bath Beyond side. And we know Ryan Cohen. When everybody was telling us, oh, he sold, he left y'all holding the bags, he still had interest in December. 5 months later, he wants his baby.
Yeah.
And so, we have proof of that. We have knowledge of that now. And I think we have yet to see his grand finale.
And also, Kinky Sex says, read the comments of that post. Let's take a look at some of the comments, what they state about that. And I just wanted to add as well to what you were talking about there. I do truly think that essentially in terms of like some of these bonds and stuff like that, like, if you kind of look back on the entire play, everything as a whole, we see that he goes under this 16B for quite a while, right? And all of a sudden, it's almost like it was strategically planned to get his 16B basically dismissed because now all eyes are on GameStop. No one's really like, a lot of these eyes have like been taken off of like what's going on behind the scenes. And there are still things going on behind the scenes in terms of what's going on with Bed Bath, but everyone's attention is on GameStop, right? DFE is back. I mean, this is, yes, he has obviously his position with like the Kansas City Shuffle and things like that, but we have to also take into account when it comes down to a lot of this, they're confusing all sides, right? No one's paying attention to IEP. No one's paying attention to what's going on behind the scenes with Bed Bath. And again, I think it's very genius the way that they kind of map this out with DFE's return. And now everyone's attention is essentially on GameStop right now. All right. So Barbecue Enthusiast says, bro, this is exciting. I appreciate you putting this together. Another way to interpret the data besides mean and median is that of 15 that emerged that you listed. 4 emerged the same way as a bond workout. 1 emerged the next day, and 5 emerged within 1 to 2.5 weeks. So a short time, it says. I mean, the likely route is that they're going to do like some form of like an exchange for debt for equity or something, if you ask me.
Very possible. Real quick, since you mentioned IEP, I want to bring it up right now. I don't know. Do I get a PP level up because I bought more IEP today?
Did you?
I did. I bought more IEP.
Let's get you a fucking goddamn PP level up. All right, right on, man. Yeah, it's under fucking $16 now.
Well, it was
the dividend is a fat payout too.
When we talked the other day about the dividend, I started looking more into it and I started doing more research and I was like, I got to get more of these. Yeah, he's right. Like there's a great payout here. So especially at what is it, 15.75 today? I was like, you can't beat these prices. You get, $4 a year. You make your return 25% return a year almost.
Yeah,
actually more.
But that also doesn't even include when the stock price eventually goes up too. And obviously his stock is very much manipulated. I mean, he owns almost nearly 90% of his stock. Yeah, 87. I mean, that's quite nearly all of it. Brock goes on to say, I know, right? The workout date for one of the new 2027 Bed Bath bonds is today. I forgot who posted the screen grab originally. I hope it's the same from the original bonds, and we're going to be out of the woods soon. So this is actually the one I was talking about. So if you pay attention, yes, right there where it says issue date, it was 10/18. The picture with Carl Icahn and also Ryan Cohn was 10/17/22. And essentially these are the bonds. I think it's stated also somewhere on here that they were convertible. I swear ABC maybe had a picture, but essentially these are converted. They can be converted into equity. So
Yeah, there's one of them that's one of the three types of bonds I think can be converted to equity. Yes.
it's 284 million original issue amount. Yeah. I mean, it lines up with like a lot of like this cash, like movie hands here. All right. I think that's pretty much the highlights of it there.
I mean, if you want to go back to here, we can look at this a little bit closer, just show everybody, bankruptcy day workout. They haven't had one yet, but there's, some notes here on Bed Bath & Beyond and some other bonds, but interesting.
Which ones emerged like relatively quickly after they had their workout? Let's see. Hold on. So American Airlines 11/27 is their workout. They emerged like roughly. That's not even. That's like a week and a half.
9 + 3, 12 days. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe, maybe soon. Are there any that have done it in 24 hours? Probably not.
No.
Probably at least take a week or two.
Same day.
Okay, that's one.
Chrysler, same day.
Huh.
Lehman.
The workout day was yesterday, right? Yeah. For these were yesterday.
Delta was within 5 days. 11 days for United Airlines.
So reemergence could be potentially pretty soon then.
Kmart, same day. So yeah, I mean we
based off the workout date.
PG&E
average is 12 days. Okay.
PG&E next day.
Yeah.
So I mean we're looking at possibilities here, and I mean, fingers crossed. Let's go.
Oh, Kinky Sex is in here. Let's pull him in real quick. Let's get his thoughts on it. What's going on, Kinky Sex? Oh, no mic. All right, no worries. We'll start to close up. He says 2027 bonds are convertible in the 2029. All right, right on. All right, let's go ahead and start wrapping up there tonight. Let's go ahead and take it over to Anastera tonight. Anastera, let's hear it, man. What would you like the good people at home to know?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to bring to the show today was for people to check out Richard Newton's last couple of videos where he goes over the XRT FTDs and the alternation between that and the GME FTDs and how the price is affected by that particular thing. Because I think he's really onto that thing, and I really wanted to highlight that and showcase it for today. So I've got... just look it up on Richard Newton's last couple of videos, like the Mea Culpa and the other things, and just look at his spreadsheet. It's pretty great. So that's all I've got for today, guys.
All right. You heard it from Anna Sarah. Take care, man.
Take care, guys. See you next time.
All right. See you, Anna Sarah. Real quick, I'm going to read back some of these tips. My apologies, fellas. What a crazy night. I mean, with Biggy Smalls' stuff that he presented, UCopy's presentation, everything's got me off guard tonight, fellas. I mean, again, this could potentially be it. If it's not tomorrow, it could be next week. I didn't even see Bill Pulte in the chat. How the fuck did I not see this? Salty Lizard with the 2, back 9 fund for slop. We also got Alien Guy with the 5, Doug Sifu literally shitting himself watching us uncover the FTD cycle. We also got Bill Pulte out there with the 2, Bing, bing, zing, zing. How did I not see Bill Pulte out there in the chat, man? We also got Rusty Shackelford with the 50 fucking goddamn PPShow memberships. Holy shit, Rusty. Appreciate your support, man. Again, if you got a membership out there, be sure to give a thanks, man, to Rusty in the chat. Wow. 50 fucking memberships, man. Appreciate your support. Salty Lizard out there with the 2, Buzz, respectively. Spin with the 2, Quick Ray, get to the tunnel. We got Abe out there with the 20, just saying thank you for all your hard work and commitment to the community. Appreciate the love, fellas. We got Sam I Am with the 2, excuse me, after Biggie DD, does Bruno tweet make more sense? Yeah, I think it does. We got Wabi out there with the PP membership. I started this being 26 years old. Now I'm 30. It's been 84 years. Let's go. Right on. You heard it from Wabby tonight. Let's go ahead and take it over to Pang. Pang, what would you like the good people at home to know, man? Let's hear it tonight.
Sorry, just busy taking notes and
Dude, you're like in the Matrix, Pang.
Trying to make sense of everything. Yeah, I think tomorrow is gonna be a fucking beautiful day. It's either gonna be really good or nothing happens.
Yeah, one of the two for sure.
Either my calls get completely fucked, or we're gonna fucking be like fucking rocking it out, man. We'll know when we have the costume party if it happens tomorrow.
Right on. All right, cool. Well, you heard it from Pang tonight. Pang, appreciate having you on the show. And chat, let's get some love for Pang on his way out.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, take care, buddy. All right, let's go ahead and take it over to Travis. Travis, let's hear it, man. As we start to wrap up tonight, what would you like the good people at home to know?
It's good to be back and back on a normal schedule, and I'm looking forward to next week when things really clear up for me.
Cool.
Starting after next week, I'll be back Monday, Wednesdays, and sometimes Fridays. We'll see how it goes with my son's schedule. But yeah, a lot of things going on. I like the whole bond thing. Great point out, and I think we could be looking at something over the next couple of days, next couple of weeks. Roaring Twitty with a cycle, Biggy coming on, that was huge. Possibly outlining some of those cycles and how he's created it. I know you don't like it for your call options for the end of this week, but we could be looking at something over the next week or two.
That's all right. Yeah, I mean, I got shares anyway, so I mean, it sucks, but it is what it is. It's money gambled away, and as long as I got a big bag of shares, then it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, it does fucking suck if so.
Yeah, on that, I'll say I think we're close here to seeing a huge run up because we were expecting on Friday to see 4 million shares get settled, and I think they FTD'd those really hard. And so T plus 35. I know it takes time, and the markets are rigged against us where you think you buy shares and you actually buy something, and those are failed to delivered, and then it takes, T plus 35, which doesn't include weekends and holidays. So it takes a month and a half for your shares to actually settle and hit the lit markets because a market maker finally goes out and gets them. Unfortunately, those are the markets we live in. They're fraudulent. They're not based off true supply and demand at that time. They're based off of, delaying things and keeping things in the dark. And they're not fair and free. They're just dark and ugly. And I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks go off in the next month or two. And when it happens, because I really believe it's going to happen, I think we'll see those 4 million shares hit the lit market before the T plus 35 for when DFE actually purchased his shares. Everybody's going to be wanting to do the hook to everybody else because, hey, we're all going to make it then.
Yeah, right on. All right, you heard it from Travis tonight. Chat, let's get some love for Travis. Travis, it's always great seeing him, man. And again, appreciate you taking the time out of the schedule to join us tonight and not only offer a thing or two, but also learn a thing or two. So, Travis, enjoy the rest of the night, enjoy the weekend, and hope to see you next week.
All right, great seeing you, man. Chat, everybody, take it easy.
Take care, man. See ya. There you have it, man. The fucking PP show. Wow, what a fucking show tonight, man. If you would have asked me, I would have never thought we would have dived into some of this stuff that, again, Biggy shared. This is potentially very big news, man, if you ask me. I mean, again, you have to wonder what exactly is going to transpire here, right? Is there, in fact, potentially maybe a situation where the weather was right, man, and DFE happened to come in at the right place at the right time and create an infinite loop? I mean, it's very possible, right? I mean, anything here is possible. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up tonight. Again, appreciate your guys' support of the PP show, man. Again, whether you donate, you watch the show, you tune in, whatever it may be, I appreciate you guys tuning in and hearing us out tonight. What an exciting night and what an exciting next couple days live for ahead of us. So with that being said, good luck in the market tomorrow, man. Cannot wait to hear all about it. And again, less than 24 hours, man, we will be finding out what is going to happen in terms of our options, man, because, that's the biggest question right now is what's going to happen Friday. So With that being said, enjoy the rest of the night. We'll leave the guys off with a fucking dildo slap on the way out. Love you all. And again, appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Enjoy the fucking dildo slap on the way out and hope to see you guys tomorrow night. With that being said, enjoy that dildo slap.